Because of his old age and weak health, the owner of bar wanted to transfer the ownership of the shop to the person on this side. The young man really liked this restaurant so that he decided to buy back it, while sitting in his own shop, sipping a few glasses of wine to relieve. The young man accidentally met the senior that he had met before in Macau. As soon as the senior entered the shop, a blonde-haired boy also followed him in. The blonde-haired boy absent-mindedly ordered a cocktail to try out the taste of life. The senior confided to the shop's former owner, who was also a bartender, about the problem related to human rights violations. Some powerful force sent people to follow him, but this spy was so strange. Then the senior looked towards the blonde boy, who was bewildered like a cross-eyed dog. Not only that, the senior also generously paid the blonde guy, who looked quite poor. The former owner also informed the senior that he has transferred the ownership of the shop to the young man. The senior immediately glanced at the young man. Just seeing this familiar face, he suddenly recalled quite horrifying memories that happened in Macau in the past. In Macau, what happened to make people haunted every time they talk about it? The suspicious person who needed to closely monitor this situation was Curtis Rimmer, the chairman of PETA Hong Kong Company. The company PETA Hong Kong is currently eyeing to acquire Dahan Commercial Bank. Once the transaction was completed, they would obtain national funds. Following the manual money transferring, they would transport the funds for laundering. Thus, a large number of national assets would fall into the wrong hands. As an employee of the Central Intelligence Agency, Xi Jun's team was tasked with stopping this evil act. After finding the phone number Curtis was using, Xi Jun's group installed tracking software on this device. After many days of monitoring Curtis, they finally got his phone password. But Xi Jun's life was basically miserable. While closely following Curtis, Xi Jun was unfortunately discovered by his henchmen. Xi Jun immediately gave the camera to his teammates and then fled through the back door. Seeing that Xi Jun seemed quite suspicious, the group of strangers immediately followed him. While I was walking, Xi Jun pretended to sit down and tie his shoelace. Then he suddenly pulled out his shoelace and successfully took down the first guy. They immediately rushed up to attack, but it was only a sting of an ant compared to Xi Jun. With just a rope, Xi Jun easily and smoothly handled Curtis's henchmen. At the same time, Shaoan disguised himself as a Hong Kong student. Under the identity of Jenny, Shaoan approached Curtis slowly and cautiously. Curtis was puzzled as to how Jenny was able to remember him when he had only come to deliver a lecture once before. To gain the trust of her counterpart, Jenny quickly took out her phone. Inside was the photo Jenny had taken of Curtis at the speech that day. In the car, Xi Jun confided to Jinwoo that after completing the mission he would propose to Shaoan. Seeing the car carrying Shaoan start moving, Xi Jun's team immediately followed closely behind. But at this time a strange thing happened. This time, Director Dixon appeared, so Xi Jun's team had to withdraw immediately. However, Xi Jun firmly disagreed. Just a little more, and your team will capture the group of people behind the Hong Kong PETA company to do bad things. Because they had previously installed spyware, at this moment Xi Jun suddenly heard the conversation between Shaoan and Curtis. Curtis asked Shaoan whether she believed fate was created by God or arranged by humans. According to Curtis, fate and destiny are something that people create themselves, because the two of them once met at Marseille Square. Furthermore, Curtis also knew that Jenny's true identity was Shaoan of the Central Intelligence Agency. When Shaoan was defeated, Xi Jun had an accident. In just one night, 3 intelligence agents of the Central Intelligence Agency were apprehended by PETA's people, forcing one of 3 agents had to lose their life in a foreign land. Furthermore, another person must follow them back to the organization to avoid continued surveillance by PETA. Furthermore, they let Xi Jun's group to determine who survives. Xi Jun wanted to take full responsibility for himself, but when he realized that they were preparing to beat Shaoan to a pulp, Jinwoo rushed towards those bastards and took all responsibility for himself. Only a few minutes later, Jinwoo lay still, looking helplessly at Jinwoo Xi Jun's weak eyes. At this moment, Xi Jun could only scream in vain. Time passed quickly like a dog running in the field. In just a blink of an eye, it's been 3 years since that terrible night. Today was also the day Xi Jun is released from prison. The captain himself came to pick you up, because a murder took place in a foreign land. Since he did not want it to affect diplomatic issues, Xi Jun was forced to take responsibility. In the car, the captain asked Xi Jun if he had any plans for the future. Currently, Xi Jun just wants to use the money to buy a luxury car and a penthouse to live comfortably for the rest of his life. Maybe that's enough for life. Just early in the morning, the police officer was awakened by his son. When he got to the dining table, his wife slapped a stack of bills onto his hand, including the monthly utility bills and the remaining balance of 2 million yuan for the house they had not finished paying off. the policeman went straight to the bank to extend the deadline. However, the bank had a policy that employees could not do anything else. He only woke up in the evening and turned around to leave. As the policeman held the bill, he silently realized that he had accidentally spent money last night while drunk. Blinded by money, he brazenly went to the bar to beg the boss to give him some money back. It sounded completely absurd, but the kind-hearted boss agreed to give the sleeping police officer the original price. On this side, Xi Jun has returned home. He secretly and stealthily took a very large bag from the staircase. Afterwards, Xi Jun asked his mother, "No matter what happens, you will understand me, right?" Except for gambling and drinking, the mother agreed to let Xi Jun do anything he wanted. Seeing a young man arrested for theft, the police officer proactively led the young boy away. At this moment, Xi Jun went to the bar next door. The bar owner, due to his old age and weak health, wanted to sell the store. However, during the translation, he was reluctant to seal it. On this side, the police officer took the young thief back home. He planned to wait until the business inspection was done, then take the boy to the police station to turn him in. At the same time, Xi Jun wondered why the owner wanted to change the name of the bar. In fact, Xi Jun really liked places with a classic, old-fashioned feel to them. However, the boss was about to retire, so the police officer could no longer take over this place. The police officer stealthily went to Jiang Moon's office to meet with Director Park. Park Director Tring called the police because he wanted to do business together. Because starting a Ma company was related to the professional knowledge of the police Therefore, Director Park wanted to assign the task of finding a loophole in the law. Just by not registering their business and evading taxes, their profits can be up to 150 million won. Hearing the huge amount of money, the police's eyes shone like car headlights. He immediately agreed without needing 7 seconds to think. Director Park declared that from now on, the two of them would become a unified whole. Of course, Tiho had to be absolutely loyal to Director Park and unwavering in carrying out this task. Payment would be made once a week. Then Director Park gave Tiho a small envelope containing 3 million won. Meanwhile, Xi Jun was eavesdropping on Young Jaeon talking with his close friend. The building where Young Jaeon's close friend lives is about to be demolished to build a large commercial center. Because she lost her deposit money, her best friend was very sad. After hearing this, Young Jaeon also felt powerless. She could only gently console her friend. After hearing the entire conversation, Xi Jun immediately crossed out Young Jaeon's name from the list of potential special agents. In the coming days, Xi Jun visited the pub every day to observe. Xi Jun discovered that many of the regular patrons at the bar were former special agents. Xi Jun persuaded the owner not to sell the pub since he loved it. The owner proposed that if Xi Jun liked it so much, he could buy it. However, Xi Jun had just escaped from a frugal lifestyle not long ago, so he did not have the means to do that. At the same time, Changu missed the exam due to falling asleep on the bus. Changu rushed to school at his fastest speed. As soon as the gate closed, Changu immediately climbed over the wall and jumped in. Many police officers chased Changu in an attempt to catch him, but none were successful. The police stood quietly to the side, observing. He secretly admired that this boy's skills were very good. Therefore, after the exam, the police officer came to find Changu and offered him a job with an extremely high salary. In addition, the female staff there were very polite and whatnot. Hearing that there was a girl there, Changu quickly agreed. When Changu arrived, he realized it wasn't his style. The police assigned everyone the task of closely monitoring the special individuals posted on the board. According to the plan, Changu secretly followed a man. In a moment of inattention, Changu unfortunately missed the bus that the man took. Changu clenched his muscles, trying to run as fast as he could to the next station, and then, he fell asleep on someone else's shoulder. That night, when the bar owner was about to sign the deed to transfer the shop, Xi Jun suddenly stepped forward to stop him. Xi Jun announced that he would buy this place. Not only that, Xi Jun even allowed the owner to stay and continue working at the bar. The owner agreed to sell it to him on the condition that he would get free wine and coffee. Not only that, Xi Jun must retain writer Jun Jaeon. Meanwhile, two thugs were bothering the close friend of Jun Jaeon. The bar owner saw this and immediately intervened. He said he would give them free drinks in exchange for them getting the hell out of here immediately. When Changu returned home, he reported everything that happened today to the police. Of course, he did not report the fact that the bar owner had offered them a drink. At this time, Changu suddenly realized that he had forgotten his hat at the bar. Meanwhile, the bar owner wondered why Xi Jun didn't step in to deal with those thugs earlier. Xi Jun lied to himself that he couldn't fight them. but the boss knew that Xi Jun had previously served as a secret agent. Besides, he was still his junior. After hearing the phone call from his close friend Xiaomi, Jun Jaeon rushed 3/4 of the way there. Two thugs from earlier received orders to force Xiaomi to move the shop somewhere else. Xi Jun stood outside and saw but did not intervene. When the director came to assess Xiaomi, she affirmed that she would not move anywhere. But he ignored what Xiaomi said. At this time, one of the thugs suddenly accidentally mentioned the history of the director being beaten up in the alley in the past. Hearing this, the director furiously beat up the mohawk-haired thug, throwing him off the embankment and into the rice field to warn his underlings. On the way back home in the evening, Jaeon and Xiaomi were stopped by the two thugs. Xi Jun disguised himself to help them deal with the thugs. The next morning, the police came to the boy's house from the previous day to bring him to the station for questioning. Seeing your difficult home situation, yet still overlooked it, the next day, Xi Jun visited Jin Woo's grave. Xi Jun swore that he will find the person who stopped them back in Macau. Trust me, Jin Woo. Xi Jun then returned to the bar and took out much money from his pocket along with a gun. When Deng Jaeon returned, he immediately remembered the man who saved him along with his S-shaped hat. At the same time, Xi Jun had a nightmare about losing his comrades in Macau, and he suddenly woke up. Because he couldn't sleep anymore, Xi Jun threw himself into practice. The next morning, Changu went to the bar to find his hat. Xi Jun asked Changu. It seemed like he was writing something down at that time, right? When Changu felt uncomfortable about saying he was leaving, Xi Jun apologized for anything he might have said earlier and offered to give Changu a ride to his workplace. On the way, seeing a police car chasing criminals, Xi Jun immediately tailed them. His car jumped forward and ran quickly towards the opponent. Changu sat in the car and was afraid his soul would drop. Xi Jun then turned the car sideways to block the suspect's path, forcing him to stop. Xi Jun successfully helped the police arrest criminals. Xi Jun changed the driving position to Changu and asked him for information about where he worked. The prosecutor that Changu followed was named Seo Junsuk. Back to the bar, Young Jaeon asked if Xi Jun still had the hat from yesterday. Xi Jun said the owner of the hat had come to take it away. Young Jaeon then asked if the hat had the letter S on it. Xi Jun said that the hat had the letter on it, not S. Meanwhile, Changu continued monitoring Junsuk. After meeting with his friends, Junsuk went to the law office. By chance, Changu, who was waiting in the lobby, ran into his acquaintance, lawyer Seo. She gave him her new phone number. After that, Changu reported to his superior about Junsuk's legal meeting with the lawyer. The director asked to review the report and circled this information in red. The next morning, Changu met Junsuk again at the park. Junsuk told Changu to take the day off, as he would not be going out. At the police station, they saw two men come to report that they were robbed last night and all their belongings were burned. Right at that moment, Changu called the police to inform him that Junsuk had discovered him. At the same time, someone knocked on Junsuk's door, dragging him out and rendering him unable to resist further. Xi Jun asked Mr. Han if the customers who came here talked about him, but what the customer confided in was a secret, so he couldn't reveal it. On this side, the police appeared at the crime scene. The victim was none other than Mr. Junsuk. After reviewing the situation, the police asked Changu out to talk. After this incident, Changu was very frightened. Changu became hesitant and no longer wanted to work for the police anymore. After all, why did they make him follow the victim? The police had no choice but to remain silent, saying it was an order from the Central Intelligence Agency. Either way, Changu didn't want to be involved anymore. He just let everything for the police to handle and left. Meanwhile, Xi Jun had someone install surveillance cameras around the shop. Jun Xian was very upset and reported it back to Mr. Han. He immediately summoned him out to ask for the reason. Did you want to find someone to take revenge, or did you want to find someone to help you take revenge? Xi Jun pretended not to understand what Mr. Han was saying. Mr. Han, furious, wanted to cancel the purchase agreement with Xi Jun, or he would not allow any guest related to the intelligence agency to enter the shop anymore. Xi Jun argued logically with Mr. Han and then cancelled the camera installation. When Director Park heard the news that Junsuk had passed away, he was extremely shocked. According to the reports, the victim had met with a lawyer prior to his deed. Director Park asked the police him to shut up and just let that report fade into oblivion. The police should not get too involved in the secret mission they received from the Central Intelligence Agency will be exposed. Then, everything will end. The police began to harbor suspicions about the things that Director Park had ordered him to do. Were those actions actually illegal or not? Director Park insisted that he would never let his juniors do anything wrong. Furthermore, police officers cannot be allowed to quit their jobs. As soon as the police left, Director Park called someone to report back to the office, while everything had already been resolved. At the bar, Mr. Han asked Xi Jun to tell what happened 3 years ago. In return, he will get information about Jun Suk. Xi Jun started telling what happened 3 years ago. That year, PETA Hong Kong spent $12 billion to acquire Daehanban. His team was supposed to track them down. Shaoan started approaching Curtis and then changed his phone to install eavesdropping software on his phone. Jun Suk was also there. Shaoan began reading the password for Xi Jun to copy data from Curtis' phone. But before downloading it, Curtis discovered that there was an issue with this phone. Xi Jun hurriedly sent a Korean text message to his phone so that Curtis could ask Shaoan to help him translate. Shaoan said it was just a text message. While deleting the messages for Curtis, Shaoan had switched out his phone. The data has just finished downloading here. After witnessing everything, Jun Suk told Xi Jun that his senseless actions today made us all fail. Perhaps this incident led to Jin Woo's death. After saying that, Xi Jun wanted to hear Mr. Han. Not long ago, Jun Suk had been tired from the company. Xi Jun believed these two incidents were related to each other. At this time, the captain began to assign everyone to investigate Jun Suk's case. The police insisted on investigating yesterday's robbery that made the captain angry. The thugs came to see Nita's director again. He said it took 2,000 billion won to build the Haru Commercial Center. So whose pocket will that money go to? Then he looked at the shaggy-haired guy. He said it was mostly due to investors or PETA Hong Kong. The director looked at the curly-haired man with frightening look and then ordered him to quickly deal with new arrivals, especially the guy who beat the juniors the other day. Right after that, they went to the shop again to find Somi causing trouble. The goal was to find the masked guy. Xi Jun called and asked Jun John why she hasn't come to work yet. Jun John said her friend's shop had some issues so she couldn't go. In just a split second Xi Jun was there. On the way, don't forget to buy disguises. A truck landed in front of the coffee shop, so the director did not see Xi Jun entering the shop. He lured the gangsters out and gently dealt with them one by one. Xi Jun warned them not to show him see their faces from now on. It wasn't until Xi Jun left that the director discovered something unusual. He quickly ran over, and the juniors were already lying on the ground. He hurriedly chased after Xi Jun but lost sight of him. That night, the police came to find Changu and said they would increase his salary. Before leaving, the police officer also told Changu that there was a list of people who passed the police exam. Changu hurriedly gave his code, but he didn't pass. Afterwards, Changu went to the bar in a sad mood and run into a silent police officer. Looking at Changu's face, the police knew that he failed the exam. By the way, he said recently there was a group of robbers who burned victims' pages. It looked very strange. Xi Jun stood aside, hoping to hear and also contributed a few words. Recently, Manhua Street has had too many robberies. Maybe that's why people rarely visited this place. Xi Jun believed that there is a company behind this. After listening, the police officer felt that he was very interesting. He wondered what job Xi Jun had done before. Xi Jun said that up until now he has only worked at the bar. After that, the police officer gave Xi Jun's photo and asked the boss for him. At this time, our people had just picked up the robbers. Just like what Xi Jun said, this company was the one behind everything. As soon as the police saw them catch the next suspect, they rushed up to arrest them. At the same time, Jun, John, and Xiaomi saw Changu wearing that hat. Therefore, the two people mistook him for their benefactor. At this time, a few guests entered the shop. One of them was Xiaowen. When Xi Jun met Xiaowen for the first time after 3 years of separation, he couldn't hide his emotions. Changu had something to do, so Jun and John's group chased after him. When Xiaowen ran into Xi Jun unexpected, he suddenly got agitated and left abruptly as well. Changu told Jun, John and Xiaomi that they had mistaken the person and left. After the bar closed, Xiaowen went back to look for Xi Jun. She asked why he kept refusing to see her when she came to visit her in prison. Xi Jun sadly replied that when Jin Woo passed away, both his whole personality and emotions went with him. Xiaowen remembered when she and Xi Jun participated in the mission together. Xiaowen asked how long he still wanted her to continue approaching other men. Xi Jun replied happily until he officially became Xiaowen's man. Having said that, Xi Jun took out the necklace and put it on Xiaowen. Just as two of them were about to kiss, suddenly a phone call came from Jin Woo. Because the hidden camera was placed in the glasses, Jin Woo witnessed everything, so he called to congratulate the two of them. Xiaowen then began to approach the target. He began to suspect, so he asked Xi Jun to take off her glasses. Upon hearing this, Xi Jun quickly prepared his gun and went into the hotel. That bastard over there poured alcohol on Xi Jun to force her to take off her clothes. Xi Jun tried to buy time to gather more information. Xi Jun sat on the table and poured wine on himself and asked what he heard from Vita Hong Kong. Behind them are the powerful hands of influential Koreans. As soon as he got the answer, Xi Jun pretended to be a waiter and then helped Xi Jun escape. Then he confessed his love to her. "From now on, no matter where you go, I will protect you. Please believe me." Hearing these words, Xi Jun was extremely happy, hugged and kissed Xi Jun. Back to the present, Xi Jun asked if Xi Jun hadn't missed her in the past 3 years. But Xi Jun could only apologize and claim that he was just trash who had implicated his junior's life. Xi Jun really wanted to rekindle his old love with Xi Jun, but now he only had the burning intention of revenge in his heart. Xi Jun didn't want to involve Xi Jun, so he asked her to never come looking for him again. The next day, the police quietly questioned the 2 boys who were arrested last night, but they confirmed that there was no one behind the instigation. They only commit crimes because of their own preferences. That's all. At this time, a reporter came in to collect information. The captain said this was an order from the chief. Subordinates also reported that cameras had been captured at the crime scene where Jun was murdered. However, the video had been edited. Han just arrived at the bar and talked about someone helping Jun Jae-on. He referred to that person as the Shadow. He asked if that person was Xi Jun, but he said he was not the type of righteous person like that. He hoped that Xi Jun could use his strength to do good deeds instead of revenge. But Xi Jun said he didn't have any thoughts of revenge at all. Xi Jun then took out Jun's photo and asked Mr. Han what had happened. At this time, the police also had some more clues. They believed that the case was related to the Central Intelligence Agency. The team leader asked the police officer if he had any comments, but he tried to ignore it because Director Park called. Director Park advised the police officer not to reveal Jun's case. He then sent the police him a photo of the person that needed to follow. Meanwhile, Mr. Han told Xi Jun that Jun would never come back again, because he has already departed from this world. The next person the police asked Changu to monitor was the old owner of her shop. One of the people came from the Central Intelligence Agency. Right after that, Changu immediately went to her shop. At the same time, Xi Jun asserted that Jun was harmed because he helped him in Macau. He pleaded with his boss to give him more information about the people who had been fired by the intelligence department, but Mr. Han refused. He believed that Xi Jun was only trying to do everything to seek revenge. Xi Jun still did not give up. He said that previously, Changu had received orders to monitor Jun. But why did Jun come here if he had already passed away? That means that Changu received an order to follow someone. Besides Mr. Han, who else was the intelligence agency wary of here? Hearing this, Mr. Han stood there in shock for about 5 seconds. Meanwhile, the police officer was just informed that the last lawyer Jun met with has also gone missing. After sitting down and carefully writing something down, Mr. Han agreed to help Xi Jun, on the condition that he must help the girl named Jisoo sitting on the other side. When the boss left, Changu immediately followed. Jun and Jaeon called to tell Seomi to prepare for action. Seomi immediately shouted for help to attract Changu's attention. Unexpectedly, the 2 thugs from the previous day would appear again. Changu came out to help Seomi. Jun and Jaeon also ran over when they saw it. The thugs thought Changu was the person from the previous day, so they got scared and ran away. Meanwhile, Xi Jun approached to talk to Jisoo, but she then asked him if he was the groom. Because the matter she wanted to ask about was a bit special, as a result, Xi Jun had to pretend to be the father of Jisoo's son. Ever since Jisoo got divorced, her son could not see his father. That's why Jisoo hopes that he will have fun during the exchange session at school. Xi Jun tried to transform into the Joker and used his martial arts abilities to please the boy. All day, the boy laughed happily. The boy also gave Xi Jun a mask. Jisoo was very satisfied with Xi Jun, so she agreed to help him. Xi Jun retold the story to Mr. Han in a happy mood. Afterward, Mr. Han asked Xi Jun to meet him at a restaurant in Manhwa. According to Mr. Han, Xi Jun went to the restaurant. Here, Xi Jun saw a letter that slightly agitated him. The walls were hung with many photos of Jin Woo. The painful memories start to flood back, bringing tears to Xi Jun's eyes as if they were about to overflow. Meanwhile, the former team leader came to the bar to look for Xi Jun. By chance, the policeman was seen bringing information about the case to the boss and said that they would definitely catch the culprit. After listening, the captain's mood suddenly changed. The action of snapping his fingers was identical to the person who was in Director Park's office the day before. Jin Woo's mother asked who Xi Jun was. He said he was her son's senior. When she went into the kitchen to get food for Xi Jun, He felt ashamed and wanted to leave immediately, but remembered when they were in Macau, they asked a woman named Li Qi to follow Curtis, but Li Qi betrayed them. When Jinwoo caught Li Qi, he was unfortunately stabbed by her in secret, but they couldn't take him to the hospital because it would expose his identity. Reluctantly, Xi Jun had to bandage the wound for Jinwoo himself. Jinwoo said that next year is his mother's 70th birthday celebration, so he wanted to personally buy a gift for her. Jinwoo also promised Xi Jun that he would definitely live a long life. Back in the present, Xi Jun asked his aunt how she spent her 70th birthday. He said he went to Jinwoo's ceremony to drink a glass of wine and chatted with the boy. Is Jinwoo still cold in that place? Seeing Xi Jun so emotional, she immediately went inside because she didn't want to affect his meal. At this time, Xi Jun could not control his emotions and hurriedly left. Xi Jun ran back to the bar and called Mr. Han out to talk to him privately. Xi Jun angrily asked Mr. Han why he made him go to that restaurant. Why did he make him become so miserable like that? Mr. Han just wanted Xi Jun to give up plan for revenge after meeting Jinwoo's mother. Unexpectedly, this would backfire. Seeing his aunt like that, Xi Jun's ambition for revenge grew even stronger. Because Xi Jun was so loud, Jun Jaeon heard. She angrily asked why he spoke so harshly to the boss. Xi Jun didn't care about Jun Jaeon and walked out. Afterwards, the police officer showed Xi Jun's case file. He wanted to ask for Xi Jun's opinion. Mr. Han sitting next to him suddenly spoke. Before going to private court, King Jun said he would find a lawyer to defend him because he was unfairly fired. The police said that lawyer was also missing. The police officer said the lawyer had also gone missing. After hearing this, Mr. Han became discouraged and leaves. The police officer continued to ask Xi Jun for his opinion on the case, but he always found a way to avoid it. The police remained silent and angrily called Xi Jun back. I knew you come from the Central Intelligence Agency. He then forced Xi Jun to provide his ID so he could take a photo and then left. While talking to the captain, Xi Jun asked if the order to stop. Is this due to the director himself gave the order? The captain said that person was no longer working there anymore. With his son about to start university, he himself didn't want to continue pursuing that truth anymore. Before leaving, the captain asked Xi Jun, it seems that previously you still hadn't returned all the guns. In the evening, the boss told Xi Jun that although he could help him with revenge, he could still share information with him. There must be some mistake. There is no other way for the police to keep this hidden, so he had to hand over all the saving accounts to his wife. The next morning, Director Park asked the police why he came to her shop. Why did you want to arrest the perpetrator to take credit for the achievement? Director Park then took the silent police to a room. He angrily blamed the police for not daring for going against his words. Director Park then forced the police officers to take off their shirts, and then push their heads down into the water. This was one of the first punishments for police. On this side, Tak Xian was ordered to quickly deal with the people on Man Hoa Street. Tak Xian took his juniors to Jinwoo's mother's shop. At the same time, Xi Jun, feeling guilty towards his mother Jinwoo, he wanted to tell her the whole truth. When Xi Jun arrived, he saw that the group of thugs/hoodlums were also present there. The police were ordered to come and resolve the problem. At that time, the director was asking the department head to help him move the Haru Gray shopping center. As soon as the police arrived, the thugs left. He said they didn't assault anyone so they couldn't be prosecuted. Xi Jun walked away and immediately argued with the police. After hearing this, the police officer got angry at what he said and would not forgive Xi Jun and left. After that, Xi Jun gave his aunt's phone number and told them to call him the next time they came. That night, the thugs came back again, so the sister called Xi Jun to come over. When he arrived, he saw his aunt sitting helplessly crying, which made him extremely angry. Xi Jun quickly disguised himself as a shadow to attract the attention of the gang members. At the same time, Deng John suspected that Xi Jun was hiding something, so he and the boss tried to open the mysterious box. When the disciples returned, they saw their companions tied up by a dark shadow. They hastily rushed to attack Xi Jun, but they were not his opponents. One by one, they were easily knocked down by Xi Jun. After beating them soundly, Xi Jun turned and left. The gang leader took out a knife and ordered his men to eliminate Xi Jun at all costs. Instead of the thing hidden behind the cabinet, it was just bottles of wine, which disappointed Deng John. The thugs chased after Xi Jun and tried to attack him with knives, but were knocked down by him. Besides that, he was stabbed back by Xi Jun, a new tree and an old bird. Changu, who was nearby, happened to witness everything. After finishing, Xi Jun removed his mask. When Changu saw that it was Xi Jun, he was extremely surprised. The next day, Director Jun came to inspect the scene where Xi Jun had fought with his henchmen. He also carefully took pictures of places with blood stains. Just when Changu came in, he also took a photo of him. Next, Director Jun went to the hospital to ask about the guy with curly hair. He didn't believe that just one person could easily defeat several big guys. The curly-haired guy confirmed that it was true. He also guessed that the person must have received flawless, intensive training. Director Jun showed Changu's photo and asked if it was him, but the curly-haired guy didn't know who he was. Director Jun stepped up and warned the curly-haired man not to disappoint him again. Over here, the old lady asked Xi Jun if he heard any news yesterday. Heard that there was a big fight, but as soon as Xi Jun arrived, they immediately left. She thought Xi Jun had dealt with the thugs, but he shook his head and said no. Then she said they were all poor children who had to do bad things for money. Whatever the reason, seeing a child in the hospital like that makes parents very sad. At the same time, Changu suddenly asked police officer if he only reported things related to his boss Han. The police immediately wondered if there was still someone strange at the bar. Could it be Xi Jun? Changu quickly said he would investigate Xi Jun, but the police officer told him he just needed to observe. As for the investigation, he should leave everything to the officer. At the same time, Min Hai suddenly came to find the police. He asked what he was doing here. Min Hai started saying that before, you used to steal together with 3 senior predecessors, but after being released by the police, Min Hai described the regulations. However, they were afraid that Min Hai would leak information, so they beat him severely. The police actively wanted to help Min Hai, but he said things were not simple. Among them was a person who was very good at fighting and could defeat 5 to 6 people alone. The police said it was okay because the criminal police were also very good. Min Hai also asked the police and let her stay here until everything was handled. Changu then came to find Xi Jun. Changu honestly admitted that he saw everything last night. Xi Jun ne zong ti kong koi bat ngo. Changu kam then ban then rat and wang imo Xi Jun. Changu then asked Xi Jun to teach him some martial arts. Over here, Director Jun went to see the department chief and asked him to help him arrest the person who beat his junior. If there is any delay, it will affect the construction of Haru shopping center. He also gave the department head a new watch. Also, don't forget to warn that if you don't catch that guy soon, your superiors will start getting involved in this matter. At this time, Changu was still trying to convince Xi Jun to teach him martial arts. But Xi Jun did not agree. He also thinks that Changu did it just to please Jun John. At that moment, Jun John also arrived. Xi Jun whispered to Changu that no matter what he wanted to do, he must follow the sequence. Changu agreed, but still didn't forget to remind him that he knew Xi Jun's secret. Next, Changu approached Jun John, introduced himself and invited her on a date. Meanwhile, the captain showed the department chief scandalous photos of his private life. The minister angrily scolded Su Hyuk for not being able to do anything well. Su Hyuk warned that the chief's daughter's big day was nearly coming. He planned to send these photos at the wedding. The minister, hearing this, immediately became frightened and begged Su Hyuk for mercy. Su Hyuk asked the department chief to quickly end the investigation into Jun Suk's case. After knowing about the fight, Mr. Han immediately asked Xi Jun it was because of revenge or not. Xi Jun explained that the situation was just a reluctance. Furthermore, during his 3 years in prison, Xi Jun thought a lot. It was not just simply for entertainment that pretended to be a shadow. Mr. Han also said that he was currently trying to negotiate with the other side. Here, Changu let Jun John know that he was not a shadow. He still said that person was really very close to her. Changu said that when Jun John thought he was a shadow, he really wanted to become someone special to her. But Jun John felt that love is impossible now. Changu still hasn't passed the police exam and Jun John still hasn't been able to complete the script. Changu said he would wait for Jun John until then. The police came to the house to ask the lawyer's wife about her husband's disappearance. While going out to eat, the police discovered the captain's legal ID card. The team captain quickly explained that Haru Company had brought me in, but it was not a bribe at all. Afterwards, Director Park suddenly called the police to apologize to him about the incident the day before. After that, the director also gave him 2 tickets. Then we need the police to ask Changu to quickly investigate Mr. Han's diary. See what Mr. Han wrote. It was heard that the police have seized the lawyer's computer. Director Park asked the police to print out a floppy disk for him. Immediately after that, the police took the evidence away. Accidentally being seen by a colleague, he quickly made an excuse to send him away to bring evidence to Director Park. After receiving orders from the police, Changu immediately changed places to get closer to Mr. Han. Han, Jisoo told Xi Jun that the man who often comes here to perform magic tricks nicknamed Minister Min. He was very skilled in document forgery and deception techniques. Jisoo said that if she could invite that person, it would be very helpful for Xi Jun. Xi Jun wondered why such people would resign. Jisoo said that all people involved in the Hong Kong PETA case were dismissed without reason. When Mr. Han left, Gu pretended to drop his pen and then secretly peeked at the diary. His extremely amateurish actions made Xi Jun laugh. Xi Jun told that he lost a close disciple in Macau, causing Jisoo to hold his hand to comfort him. This inadvertently caused the mother to misunderstand their relationship. Jisoo's son ran over to show his closeness to Xi Jun, making her even more certain. When the two of them were alone, Mom said that some people from the intelligence department had come to the house to look for them. Xi Jun guessed it was because of the gun. She asked her son again if he had forgiven his old company. Then she casually said that someone with a bright face like Xi Jun would definitely not think of revenge. The police officer brought the computer back but was unfortunately seen by his colleagues. He quickly explained that he only took it outside to dust it off. After checking, the police found that there was no data inside, as if something had been tampered with. At this time, the captain suddenly announced to put all the evidence into the warehouse because the director had ordered the case to be closed. Next, they had to investigate who was the culprit who caused the fight at Manhoa. On the way, the police accidentally saw the girl with two other boys entering into the bar. He immediately chased after and took pictures of the kids. After that, he asked Min-hee to investigate who those two boys were. The police were afraid that their daughter would go down the wrong path. On this side, Mr. Han was still carefully recording a 30-year diary of working at the intelligence agency and 20 years of running a business. Han revealed that this was the truth. Moreover, he was casting bait over there. Seeing Minister Min arrived, Xi Jun ran out to start a conversation, but just by looking at his actions they could tell that he was lying. As soon as he saw Mr. Han leaving, Changu immediately chased after him. Xi Jun also followed Changu. Just arrived home, Mr. Han saw Suyuk standing in front of the door waiting for him. He knew that Suyuk came here for the diary rights, so he asked Suyuk to follow him. Min-hee informed the police that the other two students were just his daughter's normal classmates. As soon as I hung up, the seniors came to take Min-hee away. Changu immediately rushed to save Min-hee, but how could he fight against them? Xi Jun accidentally appeared to rescue the two people. The thugs did not fight back and pretended to leave. While Xi Jun wasn't paying attention, a sudden person came back and secretly attacked him. Xi Jun's body was hit hard against the piece of wood behind him. Xi Jun angrily broke the boy's arm. The bully screamed in pain. Afterwards, Xi Jun even gave the kids money to meet the doctor. Xi Jun also did not forget his anger at them. From now on, why can't he come and bother Min-hee? After this, Changu admired Xi Jun even more. Changu also wanted to become a shadow like Xi Jun. Director Jun could no longer postpone the construction of Haru anymore. He was determined to catch the person called the Shadow. Right after that, Director Jun arrived at Xi Jun's bar. He looked at the photo and waved his hand, asking Changu to come closer, but he did not go. Director Jun had to personally approach Changu. Then, he asked if he was a shadow or not. Without waiting for Changu to answer, Director Jun immediately stepped forward to try a few hits. Changu suddenly fell backwards. While confused, Changu accidentally mentioned Xi Jun. Hearing that, Director Jun suspected that Xi Jun was the shadow. Changu immediately called the police to come and rescue him. At this time, Director Jun shifted his attention to Xi Jun. After that, he left his business card and walked away. On the bus, the curly-haired guy reported that Xi Jun was very close to Boss Han. Director Jun seriously ordered the curly-haired guy to bring the Black Shadow within 2 days. At this point, the police silently entered the establishment, with their vehicles swerved near the bridge. Just arrived, the police immediately asked who had bullied Changu. The police accidentally mentioned that Xi Jun had previously worked in China. Changu defended Xi Jun but was scolded by the police. After that, he forced Jun Hai to keep the secret. At the same time, Boss Han gave Suyuk a piece of paper recording the war plan in Macau. This was told by a guest. Suyuk asked Mr. Han if he wanted to reveal everything to the light or not. Han just wanted both two sides to compromise. He asked Suyuk to tell his superiors to end everything from Suyuk's case. In return, he would not reveal the secret. In fact, Han knew that Suyuk had many people disguised as customers to follow him. He warned that if Suyuk continued to do so, he would hide his diary. Suyuk heard the news and then immediately got shaked. Meanwhile, Xi Jun followed police him. He carefully wrote down his address. Suyuk ordered everyone to pay close attention to the bar next door because there was someone there who wanted to eliminate their company. The next day, Suyuk showed the advisor the paper of Mr. Han. Suyuk wondered who was more dangerous, Xi Jun or Han, the boss. The advisor said this, Suyuk had to judge for himself. He said that the Republic of Korea can only act, only the Central Intelligence Agency cannot be shaken. The company started closely following Xi Jun. Soo-hyuk informed Mr. Han that his superiors had agreed to negotiate. Soo-hyuk hoped that he would forever keep their secret hidden. So my tracking was also cancelled? Soo-hyuk did not expect this. Mr. Han also knew that. Then he called Director Park. Mr. Han knew that Changu was about to take the police exam, so he bought him a pen to cheer him up. Lawyer Shaoan began to join the consulting team of Haru Trade Center. Jun saw Shaoan and suddenly excited. He asked her if she had any relatives in New York. Shaoan frankly said no. It turned out that Shaoan was very similar to the girl in the photo that Director Jun always kept with him. Changu suddenly told Jun John about what Boss Han previous Ly worked at the Central Intelligence Agency. Jun he was surprised and bewildered. She asked why Changu knew. While Jun he had been working here for 2 years, he didn't know anything. Jun John angrily questioned Changu about why he frequently came here. Seeing this, Mr. Han, the owner, spoke up to defend Changu. He said that Changu only came here to study. It was the officer himself who revealed his identity to him. At this time, Soo-hyuk was still monitoring the police him. The police him went to see Director Park. He was blamed for the fact that Changu's surveillance of Mr. Han had been exposed. Director Park then assigned the police to monitor Soo-hyuk. Right at this moment, Ninhee's drone flew across the scene. Soo-hyuk saw that the policeman was injured and immediately chased that guy. Running to a parking lot, Soo-hyuk got off the car to find him. Suddenly he was hit by a car driver. Next, they all rushed to attack Soo-hyuk. Soo-hyuk immediately counterattacked. He quickly pulled out an assassin's weapon and fought them off. After finishing dealing with Soo-hyuk, he caught the missile and continuously attacked his face. Then he quickly grabbed the money back to give to Mrs. Ninhee. Mr. Han also confided in Dong John about his own matters. He said because he was a secret agent he always had to lie to his family. That's why his wife got divorced him. Since then, he also lost contact with his 16-year-old daughter. Dong John wondered why Mr. Han had not tried to contact his daughter again. Mr. Han felt extremely guilty about himself, so he dared not. At the same time, Soo-hyuk sent Jinwoo's mother a photo they took in Hong Kong. She was very surprised to see Xi Jun in the photo, because Xi Jun previously lied about not working with Jinwoo together as a team. At this time, Xi Jun had just returned to the bar. When seeing Xi Jun injured, Dong John helped him bandage. She accidentally saw the scars on his body. After Xi Jun took over the bar, shadowy people also began to appear. Dong John concluded that Xi Jun was the shadow. Although Xi Jun said he was not a shadow, but Dong John didn't want to hear him explain. Meanwhile, Hangu lied to the curly-haired guy that Changu was the shadow. After the curly-haired man left, the two still talked about the dark shadow. The group of previously married people standing in a corner heard it. Auntie suddenly came to find Xi Jun. She wondered why Xi Jun hid the fact that he and Jinwoo were on the same team. After hearing this, Xi Jun felt itchy. He didn't dare to say that Jinwoo died because of him. She looked at Xi Jun's expression and guessed that there was probably something she couldn't say. She told Xi Jun that no matter what she would do in the future, please didn't use her son as an excuse. As for Soo-hoo he informed his subordinates that police officers Im and Changu were allies. But after using it, it will disappear. Xi Jun remembered what Jinwoo's mother said and began to question himself. Could it be that all the things he had done so far were just excuses? Because of fear and revenge? Jinwoo, do you think so too? At the same time, the curly-haired guy firmly affirmed to Director Jun that Changu was the dark shadow. The curly-haired guy promised that he would deal with Changu within a blink of an eye. Seoin pushed Xi Jun away and asked him what he meant by that. Had the love feeling 3 years ago really gone? Xi Jun said sorry to Seoin and Jinwoo. Xi Jun excitedly asked Seoin why she still came to find him. Because of Jinwoo's affair, he feels guilty that he could no longer continue his relationship with Seoin. Seoin told Xi Jun that she really wanted to be by his side to share with him, but Xi Jun frankly told Seoin that there was no longer room for her in his heart. So what was that kiss just now? Xi Jun explained that it was just momentary madness. Seoin was disappointed because Xi Jun still wouldn't confess to her. When Seoin was about to leave, Xi Jun said Jinwoo's mother had been here before. She said that no matter what he did, he couldn't tarnish Jinwoo's reputation. Seoin stepped forward and hugged Xi Jun, promising to wait for him, and then left. Getting on the car, Seoin reported to Soo-hyuk that everything was progressing very smoothly. That same evening, Young Jaeon finally completed the script. She wanted Mr. Han to be the first person to read her work. Young Jaeon also let Somi know that Xi Jun might be the shadow. The next morning, the police texted Changu, knowing that the next target was Xi Jun. Changu immediately called the police, wondering why he had to follow people at the bar like that, but the police told them to follow orders. Don't wonder too much. Xi Jun remembered what Mr. Han had said. You had a treasure hidden in the bar. Xi Jun asked Yoon Jaeon to go out and buy things for him so that he could act conveniently. On this side, the policeman took Changu to meet Director Park. Director Park wanted Changu to get close to Xi Jun for easy tracking. Next, he gave Changu a recording pen and gave him compliments. He hoped he would use his valuable talent to contribute to the fatherland. Xi Jun opened the wine cellar and saw an envelope inside. Xi Jun read the contents inside and immediately called Mr. Han. But at this time, Mr. Han could no longer respond to him forever. Xi Jun hurriedly ran out and met Changu. He knew that Changu knew Mr. Han's address, so he asked him to lead the way. Before the two of them could go, Director Jun came again. He asked Changu if he was a shadow, but he didn't answer. Changu was about to leave, but was held back by Director Jun. Xi Jun said they didn't have time to talk to Director Jun now, but he asked me to cooperate with him. Soo-hyuk stood upstairs and witnessed everything. He suddenly ordered a change of direction to follow Director Jun. By this time, the two of them had arrived at Mr. Han's house. Xi Jun rang the doorbell, but no one came to open the door. Xi Jun immediately phoned him. However, the sound of the doorbell came from inside the house struck both of them as very strange. Xi Jun tried touching the lock and discovered it was broken. Onimo kwar atngon gang voi kan tu truok mat. On this side, the police team was urged to arrest a person named Black Shadow, so they went to bar to find Changu. Suddenly, the captain received a call reporting a case. As soon as he arrived, the captain saw Changu, immediately ordered him to be handcuffed. Xi Jun angrily asked why they took Changu away, but the captain didn't care him. At the same time, Semi sobbed and ran to tell Jun Jeon the news regarding Mr. Han. After hearing this, Jun Jeon quickly ran to the scene. In the letter, Mr. Han wrote that an agreement had been reached, but the other side certainly would not give up. They are absolutely determined to find the diary and attack him. But no matter what happened, Xi Jun must absolutely not take revenge, because revenge was meaningless. The hidden path you were taking was the right choice. Finally, he needed to tell Xi Jun to protect the diary well, because it was the only thing to protect him and everyone. That night, Xi Jun went to find his aunt and confessed all his sons to her. Xi Jun said it was because of him that Jinwoo ended up like this. When the order to stop fighting was given, it was due to his stubbornness that led to the incident. Mr. Han was also the reason why he ended up like this. The aunt asked aggressively what could Xi Jun do now. Xi Jun swore that he would capture the murderer. Could it be that Xi Jun still wanted to seek revenge? The aunt wondered if doing so would bring the dead back to life. Then the aunt said that because Xi Jun was Jinwoo's friend, she wouldn't hate him, so she had no reason to forgive him. She saw Xi Jun as her son. Xi Jun emotionally hugged his aunt. Over here, the police were extremely angry and came looking for the Director Park. Knocking on the door failed. He tried to call but the phone was turned off. Police officer angrily left a message in the voicemail. From time to time, innocent people had to leave. The woman next room suddenly walked out and called the police to come inside. The policeman scolded him for letting a police officer like him do such illegal things. The brown shirt guy told the police not to be loud here because this place was supported by 4 major insurance companies. Afterwards, police Inthan left angrily. Soo-hyuk called the station chief and said they had mistakenly arrested Changu on their side. Not long after, Changu was released. Director Park was the one who came to pick you up. Changu wondered the whole time before Director Bak's office spoke softly. Because those who came before did illegal things and left consequences for those who came after us, we must protect them. Director Park let Changu listen the recording where he recommended him to the police department. Let the intelligence department handle the rest of the matters. Changu just needed to monitor his older brother, Xi Jun. Changu hesitated and said nothing, just buried his face in his rice bowl. Director Park considered that Changu had agreed with his proposal. He said that in this era, only the self-interested ones were the winners. Those who think for others in the end only receive losses. The next day, the captain knew that Officer M was very regretful over Mr. Han's death. The captain also knew that there was definitely something secret, so his superiors ordered to stop investigating the Jun Suk-S case. He specifically ordered the police and to secretly investigate these 2 cases. And this would be a secret between the 2 of you. On this side, Director Jun wanted to end the contract with Tak Xian because he mistakenly reported the wrong person as a shadow. Tak Zone got worried and begged Director Jun to give him another chance, but Sang-min ignored it and left. Right after that, Director Jun met with foreign partners. The other side heard that any foreign business facing problems would go see Director Jun. The opponent expected network support and bodyguards. Coincidentally, Soo Hyuk and team leader Song also came. When the three of them met, Soo Hyuk immediately asked how things were going with the capture of the Shadow. Director Jun said that his side was still handling that matter. Soo Hyuk said that if Director Jun couldn't get his job well, it would be better to lend someone to his side. The captain saw them talking tensely and wanted to ask permission to go out, but instead met the shop owner. The shop was about to close, so they had to leave immediately. Soo Hyuk suddenly called the shop owner his senior, surprising the captain. Soo Hyuk told the captain that if the police secretly did something, they must report it to him. Soo Hyuk still wanted to lend someone to Min, but he warned him to be careful with his words or else he would regret it. Not long after, everyone gathered at the bar to commemorate Mr. Han. Jun John cried while promising the owner that from now on, he would definitely try harder so that the owner didn't have to worry anymore. Xi Jun immediately stepped towards to comfort Jun John. Xi Jun then asked Soo Hyuk to convey to his superiors that he would live peacefully at the bar based on previous negotiations. However, the diary was still in Xi Jun's hand, so the other side could not arbitrarily disrupt this peace. Soo Hyuk stepped onto the car and was so angry that his face turned red and he slammed his hand on the seat. In the morning, while Xi Jun was jogging, he noticed the license plate of the car that had previously followed him. Xi Jun left a message so they wouldn't bother him. Jun John took a photo of it. Changu went to the bar and told Xi Jun that from now on he would be honest with him. But when Xi Jun asked Changu who he had to follow next, Changu lied and said it was Jun John. That night, two thugs suddenly came to my aunt's bar to cause trouble. They smashed everything and trampled on Jin Woo's photo frame. She immediately called Xi Jun. Xi Jun rushed there and was secretly attacked from behind. Xi Jun quickly counterattacked but was knocked down by him. This fall affected his injured arm the day before. Back to earlier, Xi Jun didn't believe that Changu was following Jun John, because the people Changu had previously followed were all from the intelligence department. Changu began to get flustered and said he was only following orders to earn a living. Xi Jun took out a photo of Director Park and asked Changu if he knew this person. Changu continued to deny. Xi Jun said if this person was really the office owner, then the next person in danger was Jun John. At that moment, his aunt called, so Xi Jun quickly hurried off. Remembering Director Park once promised to recommend him to the Changu Intelligence Department and intended to delete the photos on Xi Jun's phone, Jun John suddenly appeared and told Changu to quickly run after Xi Jun. So Changu put down the camera and chased after Xi Jun. While holding his throbbing arm, Xi Jun saw Jin was broken photo. He immediately regained his spirit and stood up to fight back. Xi Jun took down the first thug. While questioning him, he was almost attacked by the guy behind him. Xi Jun turned around, broke the thug's leg and asked who hired him to come here. But he said he didn't know. And he must stop Xi Jun or there would be murder. Outside, Changu was arguing with Director Jun and got beaten up by him. As soon as Xi Jun went out, he saw the scene. He immediately stopped Changu and knocked him unconscious. He then angrily called the director a bastard, but he didn't really care, so he turned around and left. That night, the police officer was alone in his office when his wife suddenly came to find him. While they were at it, the two of them analyzed who might be involved in the two previous cases. The policeman's wife believed that Xi Jun was likely the murderer, because he had a close relationship with the two victims. However, Director Park was eliminated as unsuspect because he paid his husband's salary. At that moment, Jun John called the police to come to the bar and showed him the message Xi Jun left. Jun John asked the police to protect Xi Jun because he was definitely being followed by someone. On this side, Min Hee secretly recorded Soo Hyuk's activities. Director Park had something to tell the police, so he asked them both to go to the office to discuss. After cleaning up the shop, the lady said she agreed to leave the street. If she persisted here, there would be definitely conflicts. Losing Jin Woo was already more than enough for her. She didn't want Xi Jun to be in danger again. At the same time, Changu also posted news about the brawl incident online. This news reached Soo Hyuk. Not long after arriving at the office, Director Park suddenly said he forgot some documents and had to went out to get them. Taking that opportunity, the police searched everywhere but suddenly realized that cameras were installed everywhere. Director Park in the next room saw everything. He happily returned to the office as if nothing had happened and handed over files two subjects needed to follow up next. The police officer immediately apologized for being loud on the phone. He also said he was very scared and then covered his face and cried, begging the director to reveal something to him. The new director told the police the truth because Xi Jun was holding the secrets. Not only that, Jun Suk and Mr. Han were also involved in this matter. Therefore, Director Park asked the police to follow Xi Jun. When leaving, the police accidentally discovered that Director Jun also came here. He angrily shouted at his subordinate for having messed up the matter, but Director Park said that if they lingered there forever, they would be taken to the police station. This means your identity would be revealed. Director Jun was indignant and pinched the Director Park's collar and said he had done everything well as he requested. But was this really the best possibility that you could for me? Director Park asked him to calm down. He knew what he had to do next. Returning to the director's office, Director Jun asked Shawan to meet him. He told her that he used to love a woman named Hyung-ju. But in an attack, only he survived. Therefore, Sangmin returned to his lonely life as before. Sangmin swore that he would trample on anyone who stood in the way of his ambitions, so he wanted lawyer Xiao to lend a hand, and in return he would give her whatever she wanted. But Shawan said she could only do that when Sangmin stopped treating her like someone who looked like Hyung-ju. Xi Jun returned to the bar and immediately held Shawan's hand and looked at her affectionately. At this time, Jun and Jaeon suddenly ran over to ask about Xi Jun's arm. Jaeon also said that the two of them could share everything together. Shawan looked at the two of them in puzzled confusion. Later, when everyone left, the surveillance team saw Shawan at the bar, and they immediately informed Soo-hyuk. Shawan shouldn't be here right now. Soo-hyuk said he trusted Shawan would not betray. Xi Jun gathered his predecessor agents. Minister Min wanted to know what Xi Jun's purpose was for calling everyone here. Xi Jun said it was to retaliate. Xi Jun believed that Jun Suk was killed due to knowing the truth about Macau's case 3 years ago. Jisoo guessed that the perpetrator was from the intelligence department. Minister Min then claimed that she was talking nonsense. Shouldn't an organization handle its own people? If not, then why didn't they protect us? Jisoo was fired for telling the truth. Xi Jun was jailed due to a failed mission. Mr. Xi Jun said he would protect the truth that Mr. Han left behind. The man next to him angrily scolded Xi Jun for betrayal. He wanted to solve this problem himself because he previously owed Mr. Han a favor. After everyone left, Shawan entered again. Xi Jun told her that he didn't know which of them to trust. Shawan asked, "Can you trust me?" Xi Jun caressed her face and thanked her for giving him another chance. After saying that, he kissed Shawan. Later, Xi Jun asked Shawan who he thought was the person who harmed Jinwoo and ended the mission in Macau. Shawan told Xi Jun to forget it. But Xi Jun also said that Mr. Han also had the same ending. Maybe it would be your turn next. Shawan worried about Xi Jun's safety. She hoped he would leave this place as soon as possible. Shawan wished that both two of them could live happily together. But Xi Jun remained silent and did not answer, just hugged the person tightly in his arms. Afterwards, Xi Jun took a photo of Mr. Han's diary. Shawan walked in and immediately focused on it. In the evening, when Changu wrote about the fight to post online, Director Park suddenly came to find him. He asked Changu how to get close to Xi Jun. Changu frankly said it was because he asked Xi Jun to teach him martial arts. Director Park was quite satisfied. He even praised him for being more trustworthy than police him. That very night, the curly-haired man and a group of thugs threw trash all over the street, threatening everyone that they couldn't do any business the next day. When Xi Jun returned to visit his mother, she asked him to come home and live with her. "Because my mother has seen all the news of the online brawl." But Xi Jun was afraid that when he returned, she would be in danger. The two people's conversation was overheard by Soo-hyuk. But at this point, there was suddenly interference. When Xi Jun returned to the bar, policemen came to meet him and took out Jun Suk's photo. The policemen believed that Jun Suk and Mr. Han were both murdered by the same person, because both of them the same cut. The police suspected that Xi Jun was the murderer because 3 of them came from the intelligence agency. In addition, the police still took out a photo of the car that was monitoring Xi Jun. He thought that there were also people who were suspicious, so he followed Xi Jun. Was that someone from the intelligence department? Xi Jun angrily slammed the table and stood up, shouted at the police officer accusing him of talking nonsense. Police officer shouted loudly that before Xi Jun came here, no one had to die. "So it's okay if I leave here?" The police officer looked straight into Xi Jun's eyes and said he was now his suspect. "How could you let me go so easily?" Jun John from the other side asked the police to shut up. Why did she ask him to protect Xi Jun at first, but now he doubted him? Police officer didn't care anymore. He also asked Xi Jun to surrender. But Xi Jun revealed that the perpetrator who dumped it on Han 3 years ago and his accomplice is in Macau. The police officer just left the bar when he met Min Hee. Min Hee said the massage shop across the street was monitoring Xi Jun's every move. "That kind of brother once saved my life." The police handed over Director Park's file and Xi Jun's identification to the captain. Now he believed that Director Park was actually the mastermind behind everything. Immediately after that, the captain handed the file over to Soo-hyuk. The next day, Soo-hyuk continued to meet with his superiors at the riverbank. This person believed that if the diary remains in Xi Jun's hands, peace will not last much longer. Soo-hyuk must find the diary. Soo-hyuk was afraid of bloodshed, but this could not be avoided. His superiors ordered Soo-hyuk to strictly manage the people around him. There must be exceptions when encountering unavoidable situations. Right after that, Soo-hyuk went to the bar, hoping that Xi Jun would hand over the diary to the organization. Otherwise, Xi Jun would be in danger. But Xi Jun was worried about whether after he handed over the diary, would he be able to leave here and live a peaceful life? Soo-hyuk said he could assure Xi Jun. But Soo-hyuk suddenly remembered the day he saw Soo-hyuk's person following him. How can he trust in Soo-hyuk? At that moment, Surmi called with a fearful tone. Dong Yang heard it and quickly ran away. Xi Jun saw and immediately chased after them. As soon as they arrived, he saw Surmi being tightly bound to a chair. The man in front of him used a piece of wire to stretch it out. On his hand was a familiar tattoo, because he was the one who murdered Jinwoo that year. Before that, Director Jun was meeting with his partners. Seeing the issue of land clearance in Munhua Street being posted on the internet, partners believed that Director Jun could not know how to handle it, so they wanted to withdraw investment capital. Jun Sang-min begged them to give him a little more time, because building Haru was his lifelong dream. Soo-hyuk warned Sang-min to be careful with his words and speech. As soon as Sang-min returned to the company, he met the Hong Kong man again. The two happily hugged each other. Director Jun also gave him the Black Shadow's hat. Back to the present, Xi Jun ran over and immediately recognized him. Changu and Junjan also ran over. Surmi ran towards them in fear. Xi Jun immediately shouted everyone to run away. Then he rushed to fight against him. Outside, a group of Palavrim raided this place. Seeing too many people, he immediately jumped into the car and fled. Xi Jun missed a good opportunity to catch him and was extremely regretful. He ran to Jinwoo's mother's shop and said he would fight them together. Changu gave Xi Jun a black ball cap so he could put it on. That night, his father called Changu and told him to earn 3,000 won to compensate for his brother's incident. But how did a person with an unstable job like Changu get such a large amount of money? The next day, Director Jun told the Hong Kong man that Xi Jun must be eliminated at all costs, because if their secret was revealed, they would all be murdered by the person behind them. Meanwhile, Changu came to find Xi Jun and asked him to teach him martial arts, but Xi Jun mentioned Changu lying about following Jun Jaeon. Xi Jun said that if both sides no longer trust each other, then Changu wouldn't need to come here anymore. At the same time, the man from the previous day arrested Director Park. He wanted to know who was behind Director Park, but the director steadfastly denied that he would no longer for them. He also lied that he belonged to the outskirts of the police's military service organization. Xi Jun knew the secret that Minister Min had previously revealed nuclear military technology to Japanese spies. The minister angrily grabbed Xi Jun by the collar and told him to quickly hand over his diary, but he was stopped by Jisoo. Xi Jun said it would be better if everyone trusts each other now. At that moment Seoan also arrived. He asked the team leader if Captain Soo-hyuk could be trusted. Seoan promised to infiltrate the company to investigate Soo-hyuk and help him, but as soon as he turned away from the bar, Seoan reported the diary's location to Soo-hyuk. Seoan also said that Xi Jun suspected his captain. At this time, Minister Min confided a little and shared some of those to Xi Jun. Xi Jun took out a photo of the Hong Kong assassin and the minister felt that this person looked very familiar. Xi Jun begged the minister to reveal more information to him, but he told me to wait for him to understand what he was doing first. At night, Xi Jun disguised himself and went to find the curly-haired guy and asked him to follow him. Xi Jun took out a photo of the assassin, but the curly-haired man said he didn't know this person at all. Xi Jun tried to ask for more information about Hong Kong PETA and Director Jun, but the curly-haired guy denied knowing anything at all. The next day, Jun Sang-min decided to sign the contract with the curly-haired guy on the condition that he had to catch the Black Shadow. Meanwhile, Director Park let Changu participate in the intelligence operation with a special mission. In addition, he also gave him 30,000 to 00011 in advance. The younger brother John Jean, once met in prison, came to see Xi Jun again. I gave you something very important to transmit. At the police scene, Kondo pretended to be a victim being attacked by a shadow to report the verdict. The minister also appeared to urge everyone to quickly arrest that person. The police pulled the captain aside and asked if he had submitted his report to the district office or not. The captain lied and then told the police him to shut up. Minister Min said that while investigating the curly-haired man, he saw someone taking him out of the hotel. This scene was recorded by CCTV. None other than the Hong Kong assassin. After a long series of problems, everyone assumed that everything was related to the Haru Center. They decided to cooperate with each other. The police suddenly arrived and asked Xi Jun to follow him. On this side, Shaoan and Jun Sang-min went to Jinwa's mother's restaurant. They promised that after Haru Center was completed, they will provide free rental space for her restaurant. Just need her to sign the paper and help Min collect 20 more signatures. So Mai's place was the same. He promised to compensate her 5,000-0000-000 gong after the recent incident. Of course, Sang-min also must collect 20 signatures. Sang-min decided to sign, but Jinwa's mother did not. She signed the contract right before their eyes, which surprised both of them. When my son was still alive, he fought for this country, so if I couldn't protect this street, I would be very ashamed. On this side, Xi Jun was arrested and taken to the police station. Xi Jun was falsely accused of attacking workers at the Kilo Jun industrial plant. The victim also said that there were witnesses who saw everything that day. Xi Jun immediately thought of Changu. Shaoan saw Shaoan and immediately asked her to go to the police station. Shaoan quickly searched everywhere. Unfortunately, when Jun returned, Shaoan had already seen everything. Shaoan then sent people to search throughout the bar. Outside, Hangu was fighting with Changu right in front of the door. The intelligence department couldn't find anything, so they quietly left. They returned to check the camera and found that Zhang Jin had moved the box. The police officer said that he couldn't release Xi Jun yet because they needed to request permission from their superiors. Xi Jun guessed that the intelligence department was the one who benefited the most from his arrest, because they needed something from him. The police promised to find it for him and then left. At this time, Jun told Xi Jun that she had seen Shaoan looking for the diary in the kitchen. After hearing, Xi Jun was very surprised as Shaoan was the person he trusted the most. On this side, Su Hyuk was assigning his subordinates to search for Zhang Jin. Suddenly, the police arrived. Su Hyuk quickly chased away the police and ordered his subordinates to leave this location promptly. After everything, Director Park decided to dismiss the police officer. The police begged the director to pay last week's salary for him. If not, he would tell everyone everything the two of them had done. Director Park listened and became extremely angry. He took money and threw it in Officer M's face. The police still tried to sit down and pick up the money and then returned home with a box of birthday cakes in hand. When his wife went to ask the police officer what he was doing, she saw him ironing out each bill. The police officer promised that he would definitely let his daughter fulfill her dream of becoming a pianist. Then the police burst into tears bitterly. Seeing that, his wife immediately went over and hugged him tightly. That night, Changu came to visit Xi Jun and promised to testify for him. Changu said that when he was a child, his father used to open a costume shop. Business was also very good. But then one day the landlord suddenly told Dad to leave. That's why Changu's brother beat the boss's son. Before Changu finished talking, he fell asleep. Xi Jun immediately took off his jacket and answered Changu. The next morning, before giving his testimony, Director Park came to see Changu to remind him of the promise he had made to him. The police asked Changu who used the knife first. Faced with conscience on one side and the money that his family needed on the other side, Changu was confused and didn't know how to respond. He cried in front of everyone. The police officer gave Changu a towel and told him to be brave and tell the whole truth. Changu began to speak. That night, it was Xi Jun held a knife up first. He slashed everyone furiously. Blood splattered from everywhere from the extremely gruesome scene. After listening to Changu's confession, the chief said that Xi Jun was an extremely cruel and inhumane person. The police defended Xi Jun, but was scolded harshly by the director. Unexpectedly, Changu said that what he just said was all a lie. Changu then gave the police the recording pen. Inside was a record of everything Director Park forced Changu to say. First, Xi Jun grabbed a knife and attacked first, with the purpose of isolating him from this society. Afterwards, Changu revealed the truth that the enemy had attacked first. Xi Jun was just acting in self-defense. The police chief, upon hearing this, immediately looked at the captain. Changu stood up and shouted loudly asking Xi Jun if he heard him. Changu believed that Xi Jun is Man Hoa's hero. The director asked if who it was in the recording. The police immediately confirmed that it was definitely Director Parks. He also said he had discussed it with the captain before. The director suddenly told them to follow him. A group of disguised Hong Kong people infiltrated the police station. Xi Jun was then released. He stuffed a piece of paper into Xi Jun's hand and said that he would definitely use it later. Xi Jun was then taken to meet Changu. Changu hoped that Xi Jun would be worthy of what he sacrificed. Fearing that Changu was in danger, asked Junhee to stay there for another half day. Sion would use that time to think of ways. At this moment, Sion suddenly came to look for Xi Jun. On this side, the director brought 2 policemen to meet Director Jun. Director Jun said Xi Jun was the biggest obstacle to the construction of the Haru Commercial Center. When Officer M looked at Director Jun, he suddenly remembered that he was the person who came to Jongwon's office the day before. The policeman asked Sangmin immediately what relationship he had with Director Park. If Director Park received orders from the intelligence department to work, it would mean Director Jun was involved with them. Sangmin didn't bother to answer, and just told the chief that he didn't know how to manage his subordinates. The chief then scolded Officer M. However, the policeman stood up to warn Director Jun that he would investigate everything thoroughly. Just as Officer M was about to leave, the chief slapped him. The director angrily said he would investigate the policeman and took off his police uniform. Sion seemed very worried and wanted to help Xi Jun. He said there was a policeman here who wanted to help him and gave him a piece of paper. That person told him that after escaping from here, let's meet at a place. That person's colleague is a police officer working for the intelligence agency and will definitely protect him from the harm of the company. Then Xi Jun stepped forward and hugged Sion, telling her not to worry. As soon as he got out of there, Sion reported back to Suyuk. Jun John, who was far away, secretly filmed. Sion said Xi Jun intended to hand over the diary, but Suyuk still didn't trust her. Initially, Sion agreed to help Suyuk because he promised to ensure Xi Jun's safety. Now the only way left was to use Xi Jun as bait. At the same time, lawyer Seo and his thugs came to correct the police report and were attacked by Xi Jun again. When Officer Jun Hai saw this, he immediately called them, as the 3 of them had previously known each other. After confirming that Xi Jun is indeed acting in self-defense, the team captain denied it. Officer M asked him if he didn't feel ashamed for doing so. Police believed that the captain refused to release Xi Jun due to the legal ID card that Sang Min gave him. The captain angrily took out the card and threw it on the ground. Police officer M said that even if he had to take off his police uniform today, he would definitely release Xi Jun. But the power behind them was so great that even the captain could not go against it. When police officer M released Xi Jun, a woman sneaked behind him and was about to stick a needle into his bod. Changu suddenly called out loudly, forcing her to leave. After that, the 3 of them went to the public bathhouse to discuss. Police said Jongwon's office had 2 guys who were very good at fighting. In a bit, he would be beaten up in tatters. Xi Jun said if he couldn't cooperate, he would definitely be eliminated. After that, he especially advised police officer M to take care. That night Jun Hai appeared at the meeting place. People from the intelligence department followed him and were photographed by Xi Jun. Xi Jun then entered into the car. Xi Jun asked Suyuk if he thought Shaoan was suitable for this position. Actually, Shaoan didn't want anything other than to protect Xi Jun. Her feelings for him are sincere. Xi Jun remembered 3 years ago the 4 of them were always standing together. But Jin Woo passed away and the other 2 betrayed him. Xi Jun then asked Jun Suk if he was the one who wanted to hide the secret 3 years ago and so killed Jun Suk. Mr. Han. Suyuk immediately objected. He had no reason to do so. Xi Jun said the perpetrator used the same method to commit the crime as what he did to Jin Woo. Xi Jun gave Suyuk the photo and said this person worked for Haru Center and then left. Xi Jun then bought a cup of coffee to thank Junhee. Everything started with the coupon that Junhee gave. Now Xi Jun's heart was also forced to erase the shadow of Shaoan. Suyuk also informed Shaoan that everything failed as Xi Jun knew the truth. Shaoan was heartbroken and left the bar. At this time, Suyuk was angry and asked Sangmin what he did. Jin was incident was you doing it, right? You harmed my juniors, right? Who gave the order? You didn't need to find out anything. Was it someone I know? Sangmin did not answer. Suyuk immediately thought that even Sangmin didn't know. Sangmin heard and laughed afterwards. Sangmin said the person who attacked Xi Jun was Curtis's bodyguard. This was hidden to protect their interests. After leaving there, Suyuk hid in a corner and shed heartbreaking tears. Xi Jun asked Jun Jaein if he were the male lead in her script, how would it end? Jun Jaein said that person would use his abilities to negotiate and help the people live happily. So what happened when that person found that his or her beliefs had been deceived? Then that scene would fade and disappear. Xi Jun took advantage of Jun Jaein again. She advised him to remember the beautiful things about Seoul and thanked him for the divorce. On the way home at night, the police officer was secretly stabbed by someone. It turned out to be the man from the previous day at her shop. He came here to investigate Mr. Han's case. the police revealed that Director Park and Jun Sang-min were involved in this case. Director Park cooperated with Han Gu's friend to work for him. The next day, Solmi went to collect signatures from everyone, but was angrily chased away by them. When Solmi returned home, she confided that she would have the capital to open a cafe if she could collect the signatures, but Jun Jaein found that money too meaningless. Jun Jaein also said Solmi was deceived. Solmi was so upset that she cried and said there was nothing wrong with doing that. Just to save money to open a coffee shop, she had to take on 3 extra jobs. Realizing he had misspoke, Jun Jaein quickly hugged Solmi and consoled her. At this time, Jae-chun called Mr. Ju to the office. At the same time, the guy wearing glasses also told the police to come there quietly according to Director Park's words. While Ju turned his back, Jae-chun slowly approached and stabbed him once. When committing the crime, Yu immediately ran away. He just went out. 2 other guys came in and stabbed him again to stage a fake scene. The police rushed to embrace the victim's body and burst into tears. After all, how many more people had to be sacrificed? Soon after, the police appeared at the scene. The police said they had seen the 2 perpetrators and knew where they were. He immediately led the whole team there to arrest people. But when the door opened, inside was a group of students. The policeman walked out and then met Director Park. He said that room had only been used for machinery, but it had previously been a surveillance room. The police angrily accused Director Park of being behind everything, but said there was no evidence to support it. The policeman did not have any proof except for their unilateral words. The 2 argued and made the police get angry and leave. When knowing the victim, Director Park suddenly stood up with tears in his back. Director Park believed that Mr. Ju was a close relative to him. Director Park affirmed that he was the one who asked Mr. Ju to investigate the police him. The Director Park was planning to slander police officer him, but was accused by the team captain in return. Last time, was it not enough for Xi Jun to be blamed? So now, they had to blame the police officer him. The Director Park immediately stammered and ensured that it was Xi Jun and the police him taught Changu to confess like that. After listening, everyone didn't understand what Director Park wanted to say. News about Mr. Ju was also transferred to Xi Jun's group. He guessed that maybe team leader Soo Hyuk manipulated Director Park to do these things. The police agency also found the dead body of the missing lawyer from the past. Police also found the body of a previously missing lawyer, but in that person's pocket is the business card of police officer M. The chief said he would personally prosecute the police and then left. Right after that, Director Park was invited for investigation. Here he did not admit that he paid the police 300,001 every week. He then falsely accused the police of accepting bribes from Xi Jun. The police confessed that Director Park had ordered him to break lawyer Ju's computer. In short, Director Park said that the police officer could be the murderer. After learning about the police and working outside, the minister affirmed that he himself will reveal the true face of the police officer M. At this time, Xi Jun's group was summarizing the people involved in the case. Xi Jun believed that as long as he caught Director Park, the middleman, everything would be exposed. When the policeman's wife returned home, someone approached her car to do something. At the same time, Changu invited Director Park to return the 3 million won and then began to trick him into telling the truth. Dong John entered the shop and started turning on the recorder, but Director Park was too fake to guess Changu's intentions. Changu deliberately asked him to admit that the police officer was not the murderer, but Director Park was not so easy to fool. He also said Changu would waste his life if he kept doing this and then turned and left. Seoin went to the bar again to find Xi Jun. She still expected him to give up diary in exchange for safety, but now in Xi Jun's heart, he no longer trusted Seoin. Seoin heartbrokenly said that one day he would definitely understand you. I did everything just to protect you. But Xi Jun asked if it was sincere or premeditated. Both Xi Jun and Seoin knew the captain had deceived them. Xi Jun said that it came to the end and there would be no more later. At the same time, Han Gu's friends came to find Min Hai to ask about the case. They were quite surprised when the victim was stabbed the most while Jae Jun was only stabbed once. The next day, the chief of police ordered the police him to arrest him and handcuff him. The minister still let people to inspect broken cars police him. Here, they found a piece of parachute wire identical to the one found in the case of Mr. Han and Jun Suk. The minister ordered the police him to get out of the car. Jun Hai advised the policeman in this case, even if not wrong, he should still run away. Several other policemen pretended to chase, but stopped halfway to let the policeman escape. At the same time, investors were gathering. Sang-min said he didn't know if Mr. Honggu could protect them until when. Once the construction of the Haru Center was completed, they would receive 1,000 billion won. Sang Min asked who was more important between those who generate trillions of guan to boost the economy and who earn a few tens of millions of guan per year. Hong was put in a difficult position with the pressure from those around him and could only say he would review what Soo Hyuk was doing. When he came back, Mr. Hong angrily asked Soo Hyuk why he didn't help Director Jun kindly. If Nita continued to do so, even Prime Minister Hong would find it difficult to keep his position. Soo Hyuk asked if it was Nita Company which prevented the mission in Macau in the past. Why could Mr. Hong accept such unreasonable conditions? Mr. Hong agitatedly grabbed Soo Hyuk's collar. The command of their superiors was similar to the command of the higher ranks, so he could not resist. If Xi Jun had stopped that day, the incident would not have happened. Hong ordered that from now on, no matter what Haru shopping center does, Soo Hyuk must absolutely cover them up. On this side, the police suspected that the police officer ran away to shop bar and came to inspect, but as soon as the police left, the police arrived here. When Changu went to meet Min Hee, he accidentally discovered new details about the case. Changu informed Officer M that Yi Chun was actually the one who stabbed Mr. Zhou. After Yi Chun left, 2 other people came and created a fake crime scene. Over here, a group of business people from Munhwa came to find Director Jun. They heard that Xiaomi had received the original amount. If they also get their payback, they will definitely leave. During the chaos, the police secretly placed a wiretap under the desk drawer. Director Jun said the first 10 households would receive 40 million won. This means that the 80 households on Munhwa Street had to compete with each other. The last households to sign up would not receive a single penny. However, the residents of Munhwa Street chose to leave rather than tear each other apart. On this side, Xi Jun and his accomplices are meeting to discuss how to deal with Director Park. Changu said he needed to meet Hangu to talk. Changu once again asked Xi Jun to teach him martial arts. The next day, Changu asked Min Hee to call and ask Hangu to come out and fight with him. While Changu was talking to Jun, Leon Hangu suddenly rushed forward and kicked him. Before the martial arts competition, Changu set a condition. If Changu won, Hangu must do him a favor. Hangu immediately agreed. Without waiting for Changu to react, Hangu threw the first punch. But this time Changu dodged very quickly. Hangu then attacked continuously but did not land any hits. Remembering when training with Xi Jun, he advised Changu to focus on avoiding being attacked by whoever attacks first would be the one at a disadvantage. Xi Jun then asked Changu to beat him so he could show him the crime. With momentum, Changu immediately rushed up to attack Xi Jun. Back to reality, Changu knocked Hangu to the ground, making him extremely angry. The two rushed to punch each other. In the end, Changu won. At the bar, Xi Jun received a shipment. Inside was the report prepared by the captain. After winning, Changu persuaded Hangu to take him to meet the person who killed Mr. Gio. Not long after, the police came to Director Bak's office to inform them that the culprit had promised to surrender. Furthermore, the perpetrator also claimed that it was Director Bak who came to urge him. This was also the reason why the police came to arrest Director Park. After that, Xi Jun called Jun to inform him that the perpetrator had reconsidered and no longer wanted to confess. The police had to withdraw from the office of the Director Park. After the police left, Director Park called someone in fear. That same night, Director Park's subordinates came to raid Jie Chun's house. However, the person they had to confront was actually Xi Jun. Both used knives to attack him, but in the end, one was injured and the other ran away. But unluckily, the police were already undercover. As a result, both were arrested. The next day, both were taken to the police station. The police told them to confess quickly, but they kept hesitating. However, when Officer M took out the rope, both of them were extremely surprised because they had never seen it before. They were also not the culprits who put the rope in the policeman's wife's car. Mr. Xi Jun concluded that the perpetrator who killed Mr. Han and Director Park were connected. Just catching Director Park will reveal the people behind. On this side, Jun Hee went to Director Park's house. Xi Jun believed that as long as the policeman admitted that he followed the instructions of the Director of the North, he would not be able to deny. As for Jie Chun, Xi Jun let Changu persuade. Deng Jie told Jie Chun that the reason the police department had not yet come to arrest him was because they wanted him to turn himself in. In that case, Jie Chun would be able to receive the lightest possible sentence. Hangu, sitting beside him, also advised Jie Chun to turn himself in as soon as possible. The statements of the three parties matched up. All are designated as the Director of the North had ordered them. However, the Director Bak still sat and laughed as if he were innocent. After hearing it, Captain Song and the police were both furious. Both shouted loudly at Director Park. The reason you could sleep peacefully at night was because we had hidden the secret for them. At this time, the superior asked Su Huyu if he was the one to operate the Joman office, but Su Hyuk kept denying that it was not him. However, the document obtained by the police stated that Su Hyuk was the owner of the company. Su Hyuk said that this was fabricated evidence. Superiors believed that Su Hyuk established the office because he wanted to help Hong Koo in his candidacy for prime minister. The superiors swore that they would clarify everything and then told Su Huyu to go somewhere else. Just as Su Hyuk stepped out of the door, he met Seoan to ask her who sent the confidential documents to Xi Jun. Seoan pretended to be innocent and claims to know nothing. However, it was Seoan who sent the confidential documents to Xi Jun. Thanks to that, he trusted her again. Afterwards, Xi Jun's group continued to gather together to find out the person behind Director Jun. After that, just provoke Su Huyu to find the culprit. Not long after, Su Hyuk came to the bar, because the diary put pressure on Su Hyuk. Su Hyuk wanted to know if Xi Jun had given the diary to people in the organization or not. Furthermore, Su Huyu also affirmed that he was not involved in the case of Jun Suk and Mr. Ha. Xi Jun promised to hand over the diary to I in return. Su Hyuk had to admit that he was the one who ordered the elimination of Jun Suk and Mr. Han. Furthermore, Su Huyu must admit that he was manipulating Hong Kunman and the forces behind him. It was also for this reason that Su Huyu tried to cover up the case in Macau to help that group of people. Su Huyu got mad and told Xi Jun to shut up. But Xi Jun still stubbornly asked who those powerful people were. In the past, Su Hyuk used to be a very warm-hearted person. But Jun Uma's passing deeply saddened Su Hyuk. Didn't Su Huyu feel humiliated when following Director Park's instructions or something else? Although Xi Jun continued to provoke, Su Huyu still calmly said he did not understand anything. Having said that, Su Huyu turned and walked away. After this, Su Huyu will definitely face a lot of pressure and criticism. Let's wait and see what Su Hyuk will do, or whether the assassin will strike again. At the police station, the police chief announced that someone from the intelligence agency requested to investigate Baek Yun on their behalf. At the same time, superiors also dismissed the police officer M. Before leaving, Director Park also urgently requested to talk to the silent police chief and the captain. Director Park said that all the things the department chief had done up to now was related to them. Therefore, he asked two people to help him withdraw the arrest order for him. In return, he will give both of them 100 million won and reinstate police chief him. The next day, Su Huyu reported back to Honggu himself. He did not expect Xi Jun to know so many things. Besides, it was strange to mention him. Now even Director Park had been arrested, making him worry that everything would be exposed. But Su Hyuk promised to keep his relationship with Director Park a secret to the end. The next day, Dad suddenly called Changu to meet him. Changu was quite surprised to see Su Huyu also there. Because of real estate planning, Su Huyu wanted to ask Changu to help him gather information. In return, Su Huyu will open a store for Changu's family. Moreover, he did not take any profit. Hearing that, Changu's father was very happy, but he was extremely worried. Su Hyuk then invited Changu's father to another place for a private conversation. Su Huyu wanted to dig up all of Xi Jun's actions from Changu. On this side, the curly-haired guy informed the people that 10 households quickly signed to confirm that they had received 40 million won. Therefore, others were forced to move away. Those who had not signed angrily questioned those who had signed, leading to fights. Seeing the curly-hair name causing a mess, Director Jun got angry that he wanted to vomit blood. He immediately dragged the curly-haired man out into the street and beat him to a pulp. After that, Director Jun informed the people that the next 20 households would receive 30 million. The remaining households only received 20 million because of limited budgets. Later, a resident came to the bar and told Xi Jun about this. Not long after, Xi Jun came to find Director Jun. Xi Jun wanted to know how much compensation that Director Jun can ultimately provide the residents. However, Director Jun blatantly tore the paper away. Xi Jun showed lawyer the image of identified man. He warned Director Jun not to use the identified man's name for the construction of the Haru Commercial Center. If not, he would give that person an important item so that they can bring the identified man's name to light. Having finished speaking, Xi Jun turned and left. Because they had placed a wiretap in advance, they heard lawyer Seo questioning Director Jun. However, Director Jun continuously denied. He also said that our company always followed him. If you went against the law, everything would fall apart. Lawyer Seo still didn't believe Director Jun. He was angry and shouted at her, causing her to leave angrily. Then Director Jun called Suyuk to ask about what Xi Jun mentioned earlier, but Suyuk frankly denied it. Suyuk was not crazy to do that. If we did so, the plans in Macau would also be revealed. Director Jun said that if it was due to the diary, Chairman Hong and Zizi would take action. I would send Zizi to Director Park. After hearing the name Zizi with a company like mine, Xi Jun got new information. Xi Jun asked the police officer if he would go to the police station tonight or not. The police officer confessed that he had been fired. Young Jaeon then revealed to Xi Jun that Changu had met Soo-yuk. But when Changu went to the bar, he lied to Xi Jun. The next day, Director Park was taken to the intelligence department. They asked who gave and received the order, but he did not say. Next, Soo-yuk asked why Director Park created fake documents about the company. At this time, Director Park still said he was innocent. Soo-yuk continued to ask the director why he attacked Mr. Young. I never expected. Director Park said to Soo-yuk that he was not involved in this case. Could it be that you were looking forward to Hong Kuman? Soo-yuk denied being related to Hong Kuman. Director Park Chow wrote someone's name on the paper. Then the director ordered him to be taken back to the station, but there were people who escorted Director Park away right there on the campus. Seo turned around from far away but was discovered by Soo-yuk. On the way, Director Park asked to return home for a while before going to prison. Soo-yuk had secretly stuffed something into his pocket. When he took it out, Director Park was extremely surprised to see a gun. Not long after, the police called Director Park. At this time, Director Park suddenly apologized for not being able to keep the police. He also told the police him and live a good life. At the same time, the captain also called the police to talk. The captain admitted that in the past he had reported the police's investigation to Soo-yuk. To make amends, the captain will tell officer him about Soo-yuk and the Haru Commercial Center. They had met before. The captain heard that the Haru side was extremely strong. They can easily handle Soo-yuk. Right now Changu was calling Soo-yuk. Changu promised to do as Soo-yuk requests, as long as it could make his father and brother happy. At the same time, Director Park began to write a will for his family. He quietly looked at his wife and children one last time, knowing clearly his own fate. While getting in the car, Director Park sang a song and then ended his life. Police immediately arrived at the scene. At this time, Director Park was sitting slumped over the steering wheel. Over here, Director Jun suddenly came to find Xi Jun. He knew you came here to wait for Zizi, because Soo-yuk suspected their conversation was being eavesdropped. Not long after, Director Jun found the hidden listening device under the desk. He deliberately said he would send Zizi to the police station to ask Xi Jun to come out. Xi Jun got out of the car and asked where Zizi was. Who ordered Zizi to act in Macau? Sangmin told Xi Jun not to consider himself smart, because no matter what you do, you can't beat them. Director Jun warned Xi Jun not to interfere in his affairs. He would take action against his relatives. Right after that, Xi Jun called the police him. Please go to the station to check whether Soo-yuk has brought Director Park here or not. But ironically, the chief announced that Director Park had escaped and committed suicide. Before ending his life, Director Park left a will that admitted he himself had planned to deal with Jun to help Mr. Han and Ju. After this incident, Soo-yuk wanted the police not to continue digging too deep into this matter. The criminal had confessed, but the police stubbornly did whatever they want. Back at the bar, Seo showed everyone what she took. The escort team changed, leading to Director Park's incident. Everyone doubted that the will was fake. At that moment, Soo-yuk suddenly walked in, warned Xi Jun to look at Director Park's fate to set an example. After saying, he glanced at Selin and left. Xi Jun was afraid that Selin would be in danger, so he advised her to return to the organization. Selin promised to try to go back there to continue investigating to help Xi Jun. The next day, Xi Jun revealed that Director Jun and Soo-yuk would continue to slaughter those who stood in their way. Their next target was none other than Xi Jun. Xi Jun was afraid that Jun, John and Changu would be implicated, so he asked the police to stay away from him. On this side, Seo asked his superiors to open a meeting with the committee. At this moment, Soo-yuk walked in and gave the director a report. At the same time, the director suddenly received a phone call. The superiors questioned Soo-yuk for letting Director Park escape. He promised to take full responsibility. After ending the call, the director said he would interrogate both Selin and Soo-yuk. However, his superiors requested to leave Soo-yuk alone, causing the director to suspect that the forces were backing Soo-yuk. But when asked, Soo-yuk denied it. On this side, Xi Jun, Minister Min, and Ji-soo were discussing in a private room without letting anyone in. Jun, John and Changu wondered why they couldn't participate but were stopped by the police. Now that Director Park had died, Su's next target was to capture Ji. At the same time, they needed to monitor Min-soo, who was related to an Ita. The next day, Minister Min and Ji-soo immediately set out to track the subject. Minister Min said that Chinese investors would invest in infrastructure. Their plan was similar to that of Director Jun of Nita Company. When stopping at a red light, Jisoo got out of the car. She assigned Minister Min the task of preventing the car in front to help her buy time. Jisoo pretended to be Nita's person to meet the investor who leads them to Manhwa. After receiving news that the investor came to Manhwa, Director Jun immediately went there. Jisoo walked and talked to Director Jun. While the director wasn't paying attention, Jisoo slipped away. When it was Minister Min's turn, he pretended to be a resident of Manhwa neighborhood and deliberately caused trouble with Director Jun. Seeing this, Director Jun's bodyguards immediately attacked him. The crowd had gathered and scolded the bodyguard, calling him a low-life scoundrel. Xi Jun suddenly appeared as a hero to rescue Minister Min. Seeing the chaotic scene, Chinese investors angrily left. When he found out that this was for Xi Jun's ploy, Director Jun wanted to vomit blood. Xi Jun immediately set conditions with Director Jun. If he didn't hand over GG, similar incidents would continue to happen. Xi Jun thanked Minister Min and Jisoo for helping him. Next, he wanted to act alone. Xi Jun was afraid of incidents happening to innocent people. He didn't want incidents like what happened in Macau back then to happen again. On the way back, Xi Jun secretly followed Changu to the shop. Changu called Soo Hyuk to inform him about what had happened in Manhwa. Who would have guessed that Xi Jun, hiding nearby, had heard everything? Xi Jun didn't say anything, just quietly walked into the shop. After that, Xi Jun suddenly announced that he would close her shop. Even so, he said some very hurtful words to Jun John. "I hope you didn't come here anymore." Actually, Xi Jun only did so because he didn't want to involve Jun John and Changu. At this time, Changu's family suddenly came to find him. The older brother was angry when he heard that Changu didn't want to work for Soo Hyuk anymore. The three of them raised their voices at each other, and Xi Jun called Changu up to talk privately. Xi Jun knew Changu also had something he needed to protect. Therefore, Xi Jun advised Changu to continue working for Soo Hyuk. Changu was extremely touched to see that Xi Jun had thought for him. That evening, Mr. Hong and Soo Hyuk went to meet Director Jun again. Director Jun told everyone about Xi Jun threatening him. If they didn't hand over Zizi, Xi Jun would investigate him. Once Director Park died, Zizi would be the only one involved with the law. Mr. Hong feared that one day the secret would be exposed. Soo Hyuk asked Director Jun to cooperate with him. "Just make an agreement with Xi Jun and everyone will benefit." Sangmin asked Soo Hyuk again, "If we were abandoned, who would go first?" At this time, Xi Jun returned home and gave his mother a lot of money so she could buy what she liked. He felt guilty because he had always paid little attention to her. When going to bed, Xi Jun asked his mother if she still kept the things he sent carefully, right? Mom confirmed that it was still safe. Then Xi Jun felt secure. Director Jun plans Ned to resolve all the trouble at the neighboring bar tonight. He ordered the curly-haired man and his accomplices not to come near Manhwa's father. That night, Xi Jun sat alone in the bar preparing everything. The police quietly came to look for Xi Jun, but the door was locked. And the phone couldn't be reached either. Two representatives from Kilo Jun Industries suddenly came to see Officer M. Not long after, Jun, Jaeon and Seomi also came. At the police station, Director Park's wife rushed angrily to ask who forged her husband's suicide note. Then, she took out the real letter and read it. "My dear children, throughout this life, I have done many things. Some good, some bad. But I hoped you would only remember the good things because we were a family." Director Park's wife, in distress, said that in the letter, her husband did not mention anything about committing a crime. Why would the police forge a letter and blame her husband like this? After saying that, she collapsed on the ground in despair. Officer M immediately called Xi Jun to report the news, but he didn't pick up. Because right now Xi Jun was preparing to face a group of people from Hong Kong. They smashed the door and aggressively entered. The guy in the white shirt and the woman rushed up. Attacked Xi Jun first. Next was GG. He pulled out a knife and wanted to stab Xi, but he stopped him and immediately fell to the floor. On this side, Kilo Jun Industrial Company was also confronting a group of people led by the police. Inside the bar, GG wanted to attack Xi Jun but ended up being pummeled by him. Seeing that, the guy in the white shirt rushed up to help but was thrown into the wall by Xi Jun. All three took turns attacking Xi Jun alone. He could handle them alone. Outside, the two most important people of the Kilo Jun Industrial Company had sided with the police. Minister Min said they should leave before he called his former teammates. The fat guy was about to attack but was beaten up by Jisoo. In the end, the curly-haired man had to give in and immediately withdraw his troops. Xi Jun was still beating up the group of people from Hong Kong. At this point, GG was beaten so badly that she could not stand. Xi Jun immediately drew his gun and pointed it at GG's head. After all, who was the Korean name behind Hong Kong PETA. Xi Jun angrily shouted at Gigi to speak up immediately. Whoever was cheap, Gigi was not afraid to tell Xi Jun to quickly handle him. What you're doing to me now is no different from what I did to your teammates in Macau. Although extremely angry, Xi Jun still wanted to keep Gigi alive so he could tell the truth. At this time, the woman suddenly pulled out a needle and threw it straight at Xi Jun. He lost all his strength, sank to the ground, and watched them leave with wide, unblinking eyes. When Sion ran to the place, Xi Jun was lying motionless on the cold ground. Over here, someone was calling to warn Director Jun. If he didn't see the change in Man Hoa Street, then his life would end like chewing gum stuck to the sole of a shoe. At the same time, Soo Hyuk also knew that Xi Jun had been taken to the hospital. Soo Hyuk told Director Jun to resolve everything as quickly as possible because they didn't want to wait any longer. At the hospital, the doctor said he could only wait for Xi Jun to wake up. Xion worriedly held his hand tightly and did not let go. Other people were also present in the hospital room. At the same time, Sang-min had taken Gigi to the airport to fly back to New York that very night. But before leaving, Sang-min wanted to get some fresh air with Gigi, and Xi Jun had also regained consciousness. His mental state was extremely good. Sang-min suddenly brought up the time when they first stole money in New York. Gigi used it to buy a taco and Sang-min used it to buy a ticket to the top of the tallest building in New York. Witnessing the majestic scene before his eyes, Sang-min promised himself that he would build the tallest and brightest building in Korea. Gigi suddenly asked if that was why he had to leave. Sang-min looked at his friend with tears in his eyes and said, "I hope you understand me." Having said that, Sang-min did not hesitate to end Gigi's life. Seeing Gigi lying motionless in a pool of blood, Sang-min screamed frantically and then turned and walked away. Soon after, Soo Hyuk's people arrived to photograph the scene. After seeing everyone off to the police and returning to the hospital room, Xi Jun asked him to protect Changu and Young Jae-on. Xi Jun guessed that Sang-min would personally handle Gigi. Therefore, Xi Jun planned to deal with Sang-min first. On this side, Sang-min followed the appointment to meet the investor, but what caught his eye was a foreign company. The investor knew that Sang-min could not complete the construction of Haru shopping center well, so he wanted to hand it over to someone else. Sang-min wondered what benefits he would receive. Min-soo bluntly said Sang-min would receive what he invested. There's about a 0.3% chance it's serious. At this time, Sang-min was in a dilemma. He decided to cast aside his pride, kneel down to beg Bong Chun for another chance, but Bong Chun didn't care and turned around and left. Sang-min was furious and shouted loudly for Bong Chun to stop. Now, Sang-min had nothing left to lose. It was all for the dream of building Haru that Sang-min heartlessly dealt with even his own friends. Sang-min threatened that if Bong Chun didn't help him, he would reveal all their dirty secrets, including what happened in Macau. Bong Chun finally agreed to compromise, but Sang-min must clear Man Hoa Street within a week. The next day, everyone gathered in Xi Jun's hospital room to find a way to deal with Jun Sang-min. They planned to act starting from Honggu's place, pleased that he was preparing to run for the prime minister position. On this side, Sang-min began instructing everyone to dismantle Man Hoa Street. Sang-min went to Jin Woo's mother's store in person to negotiate. Coincidentally, Changu was also there. Sang-min asked Changu to convey a message to Xi Jun. Sang-min was looking forward to meeting Xi Jun to personally end his life. After speaking, he immediately stuffed Changu's salary into his pocket. Changu immediately went to inform Jun Jae-on. As soon as Jun Jae-on left Xi Jun, he voluntarily withdrew the transfer paper. After that, both Xi Jun and the police escaped. Later when the two came back, the police officer lied that Xi Jun went downstairs to take a shower. At that time, Xi Jun went to meet the director and gave him evidence of Honggu's corruption. At the same time, Honggu was pleased to receive news that the announcement of the internal candidate plan had been postponed to allow for a deeper investigation into the candidates. Gu happily reported this news to Soo Hyuk. Xi Jun began taking the first steps based on the information in the diary. Gu happily ordered Soo Hyuk to find the diary immediately. He didn't care whether it was the original or a copy. Shortly after, Soo Hyuk asked Sang-min to give him a hand. Xi Jun, having left against medical advice while still not fully recovered, he was not in the best condition. Min-hee also reported that the people who were previously at the opposite bar observing Xi Jun were present at the hospital. Changu immediately went around the hospital to observe. When Soo Hyuk called, Changu reported that Xi Jun was still in a state of unconsciousness. Soo Hyuk promised that after confirming this news was true, he would immediately prepare a contract to open the store. On the contrary, if Changu dared to betray Soo Hyuk, he would have to pay the price. Afterward, Soo Hyuk's people disguised themselves as doctors to check on Xi Jun's condition. After checking, she immediately called Soo Hyuk to report the news. Changu even deliberately sent Dong Jaeon away so that he could stay alone. When Soo Hyuk called to inquire about the situation, Changu reported that only he and Xi Jun were left at the hospital. Soo Hyuk immediately reported the right opportunity to Sang Min. Sang Min's subordinates began to act. As Changu was following him, Minister Min pulled him into a hidden corner and immediately signaled for him to remain silent. When Sang Min's people entered the hospital room, they were surprised to see an old woman. The person lying in the hospital bed was Officer Im. He felt terrified and he immediately bolted, ran away. Everyone quickly chased after him. When he ran to the main hall, Jisoo tripped him, causing him to fall sprawling on the floor. Xi Jun's group successfully helped the police arrest the suspect. Before leaving, He also gave Officer Im the chief's credit card. The accomplices, whose plan had been exposed, immediately reported back to their superiors. At this point, the group knew that the plan had failed. Sang Min had nothing left to threaten them with, as the evidence of Ji's elimination was in Soo Hyuk's possession. Sang Min could only climb onto a table, kneel down, and become a laughingstock for everyone. To his humiliation, Sang Min was doused with alcohol by Bong Chun and could not resisting. Bong Chun forced Sang Min to drink the entire glass of wine amid the laughter and insults of everyone. The next day, Officer Im brought evidence of the chief receiving bribes to show him. The chief's smile faded upon seeing it. Later, the committee decided to merely reprimand Officer Im and reinstate him. The next day, Sang Min went to the hospital and wanted to talk to Xi Jun privately. Xi Jun bluntly called Jun, Jaeon, and Changu out. Inside the room, Sang Min wanted to get the diary. In return, he would give Xi Jun the information he wanted. Unlike Sang Min's prediction, Xi Jun only hoped that he would properly compensate the people of Manhua Street, because Xi Jun knows Sang Min would not easily tell the truth. In the end, the deal still failed. Before leaving, Sang Min still strongly warned Xi Jun. At this time, people from the intelligence department arrived at Xi Jun's house. The police officer's daughter was also in their sights. Changu went to Nita alone. After hearing Jun, Jaeon reported that Xi Jun immediately ran there although everyone prevented him. Changu wanted to cooperate with Sang Min, but he mentioned that he provided wrong information to the agent. Sang Min then took out a wiretapping pen from Changu's pocket. Sang Min angrily smashed the pen. He took off his coat and prepared to beat Changu onto the shore and into the fields. Lawyer Seo worriedly told Changu to run away if he didn't. But Changu still wanted to stay. At this moment, Xi Jun appeared. Xi Jun wanted to talk to Sang Min privately. The senior officer Changu and Lawyer Seo are forced to go outside. The two immediately started brawling and attacking each other. Xi Jun grabbed Sang Min and slammed him down on the table, but he was still able to break free. Sang Min said that today only one of them will live. But Xi Jun was different. He didn't want anyone to lose their life. Xi Jun wanted the law to punish Sang Min. Saying this, the two started fighting again. However, Sang Min only threw a few moves and Xi Jun began to feel dizzy. Taking this opportunity, Sang Min rushed to push Xi Jun down. Then he tightened his neck. Xi Jun tried to use the landline phone to hit the back of Sang Min's head to escape. Next, Xi Jun repeatedly threw deadly blows and threw Sang Min several meters away. At the same time, the kidnappers called the police and they informed the police that his daughter was in their hands. The transaction conditions weren't for money but rather for the original diary. The location for the exchange was at the bar next door. The police immediately reported this news to the police team. Meanwhile, Sang Min and Xi Jun continued their relentless struggle, neither giving an inch. Sang Min said that if Xi Jun hadn't gotten involved in his business, the others wouldn't have been implicated. Teammates in Macau also did not have to lose their lives. But that was the reason Xi Jun had to try to catch Sang Min. Sang Min's accomplices had stolen 1 billion won from a South Korean bank, a sum that so many hard-working people had painstakingly earned. Saying that, Xi Jun frantically rushed to beat Sang Min. But at this time, Xi Jun could no longer stand firmly. At this moment, the police hurriedly ran in to ask about the diary's whereabouts. The safety of his daughter was in the hands of the criminals. Xi Jun suddenly remembered Sang Min's warning at the hospital. Sang Min once threatened to take action against the people around Xi Jun. Xi Jun was angry and wanted to tear apart the bastard in front of him. However, Officer Im stopped him from doing so. Before leaving, Xi Jun warned Sang Min and his accomplices that they would be dragged down to hell. At the same time, Xi Jun's house was also being raided by Soo Hyuk's men. The police him could no longer keep calm. For police him, his daughter's safety was the top priority. He earnestly begged Xi Jun to hand over the diary to Sang-min. Xi Jun immediately agreed without thinking too much. When Xi Jun returned to take the diary, he met Soo Hyu. Xi Jun said he would give the diary to Sang-min instead of Soo Hyuk, because Sang-min currently had police him's daughter's life in his hands. It turned out that the diary had always been hidden at the neighbor's house. Xi Jun immediately brought it back to the bar. Just then the kidnappers called to change the plan. They wanted to make the exchange at the Central Park. Furthermore, Xi Jun and the police are not allowed to go near it. After listening, Xi Jun handed the tracking chip to the police. Everyone would go there with him except Xi Jun and the police. Before the exchange began, Ji-soo and Minister Min were already present at the park. Here, the police car had arrived at the location. After observing, the intelligence agents immediately informed his accomplices. They then immediately called the police back. When giving conditions, they said there must not be police. That's why the police were not allowed to appear here. They wanted Young Jaeon to be the one to make the exchange. Young Jaeon went there alone and followed Xi Jun's orders. Xi Jun watched from far away and then ordered Ji-soo to go to Zone B. They put the ticket in Young Jaeon's bag and asked her to get on the boat. When Young Jaeon set foot on the boat began to move. Around there were also Minister Min and Ji-soo. A speedboat suddenly arrived. The man in the orange jacket began approaching Young Jaeon. He said that after checking the suitcase, his people would release the police MS daughter. Young Jaeon immediately opened the suitcase for him to examine. After searching everywhere, Changu finally found the suspect. At this time, Young Jaeon absolutely refused to hand over the suitcase, leading to a struggle between the two of them. In fact, Young Jaeon was only trying to buy time after receiving news that Ji-soo had found police MS daughter him. Young Jaeon let the orange shirt guy leave. She also took the opportunity to attach the tracking chip on him. Finally, Si-yoon understood that one tree alone didn't make a forest, but 3 trees together could make a high mountain. After that, Si-yoon thanked everyone. At this time, the police car was following Sang-min's car closely. Australian Soo-hee suddenly ran out to block Sang-min's way. Soo-hyuk got into the car and asked Sang-min if he hadn't realized that he would be caught as soon as he touched the diary. Because the police car was closely tailing Sang-min, Soo-hyuk asked him to reveal the diary's location so that Soo-hyuk could retrieve it safely. Sang-min didn't think Soo-hyuk would suddenly be so kind, but one of his subordinates was captured. Sang-min had no choice but to comply with Soo-hee's requests. Then Sang-min suddenly turned the car around. The police immediately reported to Si-yoon. Si-yoon ensured that Soo-hyuk must have helped Sang-min. He immediately swerved the car toward the kidnapper. Upon arrival, he saw the kidnapper carrying the suitcase and running down the tunnel. Si-yoon quickly gave chase. However, Si-yoon's health condition did not allow him to chase after the kidnapper. Si-yoon collapsed right on the stairs, watching as the kidnapper disappeared into the crowd. At this time, the suitcase was delivered to Soo-hee. While checking, Soo-hyuk discovered a tracking chip, which was taken to the hospital. The doctor warned that if Si-yoon did not rest properly, his nervous system would be permanently paralyzed. At this time, Si-yoon's mother also arrived at the hospital. She was heartbroken looking at her son lying on the hospital bed. At the police station, everyone tried to ask the kidnapper who had ordered him. However, he chose to remain silent. The assassin at the hospital was also brought in. He said that he just wanted revenge on Si-yoon and that no one ordered him. The policemen were angry when they couldn't force them to reveal the truth, though he was certain of who the mastermind was. At this time, 2 former colleagues revealed the only person who could convince them to tell the truth could only be curly-haired man. Not long after, the curly-haired man was called in. Changu said that his subordinates had been discarded like trash after being used by Sang-min. The curly-haired man felt deeply distressed upon hearing this. He said that Min-sik still had to care for his elderly, senile mother. As for Jang Jin, he had a young child that he needed to take care of. Both of their circumstances were very difficult. He understood why they acted so recklessly. Young Jaeon suddenly remembered that Si-yoon's mother was very good at advising others. So they took her to meet Jang Jin. She promised that she would let Jang Jin's child come to her own daycare. Of course, she would also take care of the child herself. Hearing that, Jang Jin immediately agreed to testify. Next door was Min-sik's cell. Every month he had to pay 1,000,000 for a nurse to care for his mother, so Min-sik was always struggling financially. Hearing that, Xi Jun's mother immediately suggested that Min-sik should take her to a nursing home. This way, 90% of the costs would be covered by insurance. Since Jiang Jin had agreed to testify, Min-sik also agreed to come forward and testify. That night, Sang-min came to take the suitcase, but it was surprisingly light. Sang-min glared at Soo-hyuk furiously. However, Sang-min still brought the suitcase to the rich. Sang-min also warned them not to believe in Soo-hyuk. After saying that, he showed them the empty suitcase. Soo-hyuk explained that since Sang-min's people had been tagged with tracking chips, Xi Jun's people would most likely come here. Little did they expect Mr. Hong to say that they already had the original copy, so they didn't worry, because the copy of the diary would be considered a fictional story. So it didn't have the power to affect them, because Sang-min failed to keep his word. The construction of Haru Shopping Center was assigned to Changjintan Investment Fund. Sang-min angrily tore up the contract and was about to beat up Bong Chun. Luckily, Soo-hyuk managed to stop Sang-min. Soo-hyuk advised Sang-min to quickly flee before his passport got revoked, because Sang-min's henchmen were arrested by the police. Sang-min angrily said that he would not let those in front of him achieve their goals and then left away. Sang-min went to the bridge and apologized to Ji for not being able to build the building of her dreams. However, Sang-min also said that he would not let his life end this way. The moment Sang-min was arrested by the police was also when he decided to reveal the people behind this whole affair. Sang-min also wanted to meet Xi Jun before going to court. Soo-hyuk had predicted that Sang-min would counterattack when he failed to achieve his goal. Soo-hyuk went to the police station and requested to talk privately with Sang-min. However, Sang-min believed that he was much stronger than the people out there. As long as you confessed, everyone would have to pay the price. Xi Jun had also arrived as per Sang-min's request. Sang-min agreed to tell the truth. In return, Xi Jun must help Sang-min. Did you want to be protected or do you want to be conservative? I was just struggling to survive. Sang-min wouldn't tell the whole truth. Did you want to see how Xi Jun can help you survive? Xi Jun asked Sang-min if he murdered Jin Woo. Sang-min frankly admitted this. Xi Jun knew that in addition to the Nita Corporation, there was another extremely powerful person standing behind Sang-min. But when Xi Jun asked where Ji was, Sang-min did not answer. Sang-min further asked Xi Jun if he wanted to know how the people at the Nita Corporation communicated with each other. Xi Jun thought that Sang-min was trying to expose Nita's people to find a way to survive. But first we had to confirm whether what Sang-min said was true or not. Not long after that group of rich people received an imposter message, this time Xi Jun officially introduced himself to them. They were extremely surprised when they saw Xi Jun appear in this place. Xi Jun introduced himself as the person who was present in Macau when Jin Woo's incident occurred. Furthermore, Xi Jun knew everything, including everyone present at the scene. Currently, they controlled both the economy and politics, allowing them to easily extort money from the public. 3 years ago in Macau, Xi Jun was unable to stop them from acquiring Dahan Bank to access the illicit funds. By cutting costs on renovations and real estate, they successfully embezzled a large sum of money, then sold the bank to foreign businesses. Xi Jun affirmed that he would make sure such an incident would not happen again. Furthermore, he would never let Hong Guman come before the Prime Minister. Xi Jun vowed to take them all to court for committing murder. After Xi Jun left, they were concerned that if the truth from 3 years ago in Macau was exposed, the entire Republic of Korea would be in an uproar. The only thing they could do now was to bribe the journalists, lawyers, and civil servants. Sang-min asked to have a private meeting with Soo-hyuk privately, so the department chief brought him there. The chief asked to turn off the camera and then pulled the police officers out of the room. Meanwhile, both Xi Jun and Seoin came to meet the director. Xi Jun thought they should take action against the Nita Corporation and the people involved. They were all influential people in South Korea's economy and politics. Xi Jun was afraid they would kill Sang-min first. The director promised to help Xi Jun, and he will also have people protect Sang-min. At the prison, Sang-min promised to only take revenge on Hong Guman and the Nita Corporation. That way, Australian Soo-hee didn't need to help them do bad things anymore. However, Sang-min also set a condition. That was Soo-hee Aus had to help him conceal the bad things he had done. Sang-min, with tears in his eyes, earnestly begged Soo-hyuk to help him. As soon as Soo-hyuk returned, Bong Chun asked him what Sang-min's condition was. Soo-hyuk replied that Sang-min wanted to take revenge on everyone. Furthermore, he wanted Soo-hyuk to create false evidence. So what did Soo-hyuk do? Because she felt it wasn't worth listening to, Soo-hyuk left. Ong Chun ordered Soo-hyuk to ensure that Sang-min stayed silent forever at any cost. Xi Jun also informed Sang-min that if he told the truth, he would be protected by the intelligence department. Not only that, the intelligence department would also create a false identity for Sang-min. However, Sang-min believed that the intelligence department might change its decision. At that moment, the bureau chief called to inform that he was under pressure and would be unable to protect the witness. Sang-min heard this phone call. Everything was as he predicted. On this side, Xi Jun just went to his aunt's shop and called the director. Sang-min wanted him to prevent Hong Woo-min from running for president. As soon as he hung up the phone, Xi Jun collapsed to the ground. Everyone rushed to take him to the hospital. The doctor said that Xi Jun was suffering from a blood infection due to a large amount of toxins still in his body, and his current condition could lead to a risk of lung and heart failure. After hearing this, everyone was extremely worried about Xi Jun. Xi Jun always acted for everyone and for Man Hoa Street. Not once did Xi Jun think for himself. Young Jaeon immediately told Seoan about Xi Jun's current situation. On the way to the hospital, Seoan was followed by a man. Seoan hid behind a wall to catch that person, but it turned out to be Deputy Captain Kong. Deputy Captain Kong revealed that Soo-hyuk's next target was Sang-min, so he wanted to inform Seoan to try to prevent the murder from happening. At this time, Sang-min was still hoping that Australian Soo-hee would come. But the person who came was Police him. He knew Soo-hyuk wouldn't come to this place, because the police had received a photo of Zizi with a note indicating that Sang-min was the culprit. The sender was none other than Soo-hyuk. Found out that his proposal was rejected, Sang-min was furious and wanted to meet Xi Jun one more time. At the hospital, Xi Jun just woke up and asked to see Sang-min. People worried about his health tried to stop him. But Xi Jun clearly knew his health condition. He wanted to use the remaining time to help people. Xi Jun then went to see Sang-min. Xi Jun wanted Sang-min to publicly reveal everything to the media. Only in this way could they proceed with the mission of protecting the witness. Sang-min really wondered why Xi Jun chose to help him. That was also because Xi Jun and Sang-min had the same goal. They all wanted to see those bastards turn to dust. Deputy Chief Kong then handed Shaoan the photos they had taken while surveilling the bar. Shaoan could use them to sue Soo-hyuk for civil rights violations. Then Shaoan and Xi Jun went to see the director. Xi Jun said that tomorrow, during the meeting to decide the Prime Minister's nomination committee, he would have Sang-min publicly reveal all the crimes of Hong Woo-min and his accomplices to the press. Xi Jun wanted Hong Woo-min not to have time to react. When he reached the door, Xi Jun's condition suddenly worsened. He had to return to the hospital immediately. Xi Jun was in pain lying on the bed in a not very good condition. On this side, Shaoan informed Vice Captain Kong that Sang-min would be safe as soon as the press conference took place. Who would have thought that everything was part of Soo-hee's plan? That night, Xi Jun called Soo-hyuk to confide in him about his deep concerns. Xi Jun gave Soo-hyu a can of beer and tried to persuade him to join his side against the two men. However, Soo-hyuk crushed a beer can and said that those people wouldn't stop. Victory would definitely be on their side. Soo-hyuk advised Xi Jun to abandon his revenge plan. But Xi Jun didn't want to stop. Xi Jun also said that tomorrow he would go in the same car with Sang-min. Soo-hyuk advised Xi Jun not to stand on Sang-min's side because his doing so would be extremely dangerous. Before leaving, Soo-hyuk turned back and told Xi Jun to take care of his own health. That night, Deputy Chief Kong placed a bomb under Xi Jun's car. The next day, Xi Jun drove that car to the police station. Soo-hyuk followed closely behind. When Sang-min got into the car, everyone went to the press conference together. At the same time, the meeting to nominate candidates for the Prime Minister's position was about to begin. Moreover, the bomb had only 1 minute left before it would explode. Xi Jun once again called Soo-hyuk to advise him to change his decision. There was still time to turn back now, Captain. Just admit the mistakes and pay the taxes according to the law. Wasn't doing so protecting your own honor? At the last second, Soo-hyuk decided to turn off the bomb. Xi Jun was extremely grateful and said thank you to Soo-hyuk. Afterwards, Xi Jun asked Soo-hyuk to open the trunk and take a look. Soo-hyuk had the car stopped and discovered the bomb was lying on his car. It turned out that last night, Xi Jun placed the bomb in Soo-hyuk's trunk. Soo-hyuk burst out laughing and went to a corner to call his son to give his final confession. As soon as he finished speaking, pulled out a gun and ended Soo-hyuk's life. On this side, Sang-min prepared to announce the truth to the press. Xi Jun arrived at the meeting place as a witness to the Hong women's crimes. Xi Jun wondered who within the NIDA Corporation had been secretly supporting Hong Woo-min. After listening, Mr. Hong was confused and didn't know how to answer. At the same time, Sangmin announced all the people behind Nita Group. First was Lee Hong-jun, director of Sanay Electricity. Second was Ma Jong-suk, chairman of the Korea Times. The third person was Kang Min-soo, the investment representative of Lok for Lin Ji. And finally, there was Hong Gu-min. Hearing this name, the press immediately became excited. They slowly approached Sangmin. Sangmin continued to say that every time the Nita Corporation committed a crime, Hong women stepped in to cover up all their wrongdoings. To hide their crimes, they hired assassins through Jongwon's office to eliminate those involved. As soon as the words were spoken, the police immediately rushed to arrest Ms. Hong women on charges of murdering Jun-suk, Mr. Han, and Mr. Jo. After his statement, Sangmin handed over the evidence to the department chief and left. When everything was revealed, it was also the moment when Xi Jun's body reached its limit. Xi Jun barely managed to touch Seoin's worried face before fainting. Meanwhile, everyone at the bar next door along with Kilojun Industrial Company, Manhwa Street residents unanimously stood up to block the crane truck that was about to destroy this neighborhood. The crane truck suddenly turned around, which greatly surprised everyone. It turned out that after the scandal of the Nita Corporation was exposed, the demolition of Manhwa Street was also suspended. A year later, Changu finally fulfilled his dream of becoming a police officer. Changu hurried to Young Jaeon because they were now a couple. Young Jaeon also informed Changu that she now officially became a writer. After receiving good treatment, Xi Jun became healthy again. Until now, he still often disguised himself as a dark shadow and quietly helped people. The movie ended here. If you find it interesting, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel to support us. Thanks for watching, and now, goodbye and see you again. Okay, that's the end of today's movie review. Goodbye and see you